Hey all, J-Man here. I just wanted to tell you about beardedshirts.com. It's a great place to get a lot of cool superhero shirts and other merchandise. You can scroll, they've always got sales on. As you can see, they've got these really cool print all over shirts, which I really love. That's Eddie, the founder of the site. And if you're looking for stuff, all you got to do is you click on the search here and you can type in all over. And that's going to show you the all over prints, which are really, really cool. Look at that. You got Legion of Superheroes, you got Brave and the Bold, you got JSA, you got Superman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, all kinds of stuff. So check out beardedshirts.com. Hey guys, welcome to Days of High Adventure. We're back finally after many, many years of being away. We're finally back officially to talk about Judge Dredd, both movies, Stallone and Carl Urban. We're going to do a versus. It's going to be a space versus. And we're going to see where this... I want to do a space versus because I think if we just say which one do you like better, it might be a little bit too easy. Though I think both movies have their place. And we're going to do the verses right away to get that done. And then we'll talk about what we love about Dredd and how we got into it. The reason I want to do that is that, so you guys know that I had a fracture or 3 fractures on my back. I seem to be much better today. I don't know how long I can actually sit and go for. So I do want to get the verses part out of the way, and then we can chill talk about Judge Dredd. And Joe Dog, I sent you a message. If you want to come on afterwards when we're chilling and give me your thoughts on Dredd, then I'll send you a link. So I just sent you a tweet or whatever it's called, X. So let me know if you want to pop in later on with your thoughts. I know you wanted to talk about it, so I wasn't sure if you wanted to come in and talk about it or just hang out and chat. So we'll go. I got to let my guys go first with their thoughts, and we'll get you to come in if you want afterwards. All right. Woo, there's a lot going on this week. What the hell's going on here? Tomorrow, Legion live stream returns finally back on Monday. This Monday, tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern is going to be bloody awesome. These 4 issues are damn good. I can't believe it. All 4 really good. I cannot wait to talk about these tomorrow. And Sean should be returning tomorrow with me. So we're back with the Legion live stream. Wednesday, I'm going to be on the Action Elite Action Elite Live, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be talking about Marked for Death. And I just rewatched this after, after a long time, and I cannot wait to talk about this movie. It's a movie. There's scenes. There's a lot of scenes in it. And Steven Seagal is in it, and Keith David is in it. And Keith David plays a vigilante killer who moonlights as a high school coach for 5 minutes of the movie. And then there's more scenes, and then a lot of Jamaicans get killed. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for Wednesday. I'll tell you. Make sure you're subscribed to the Action Elite. The link's in the description. It's going to be awesome. There's going to be a special stream on Thursday. Now, once we're finished the Legion live stream, the replacement for the Legion live stream is going to be something that we're going to be called Superman Action. And that's where we're going to talk about a Superman comic and Action Comics. We're going to do 1-to-1. So it'll be Superman issue 1, Action Comics issue 1, Superman issue 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. The full show is not going to start yet. We're going to finish off Legion completely. Once Legion is completely finished, then Superman Action is going to start. But this Thursday, there's going to be a preview. It's the first episode of Superman Action with a special guest, Steve Eunice, who runs the Superman homepage. He's been running that for, God, I think decades. So he's going to be coming on. So it's a special day time, which is going to be Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be talking about Superman issue 1 and Action Comics issue 1. With a character called Superman. I'm not sure if he's going to take off. We're going to discuss it then. And in a week or so, We're going to be talking about The Dark Knight Strikes Again. Is it a masterpiece? Some people think it's trash. Some people think it actually is a masterpiece. I reread it after more than 15 years of not reading it. When I first read it, I thought it was garbage, and I reread it. What do I think? Well, obviously I think something, because I wouldn't be doing a stream if I didn't think something about it. So we're going to talk about it. Not this Friday, but probably next Friday. So a couple of weeks away. Let's talk about The Dark Knight Strikes Again, and Steven's going to be joining me for that one. Let's thank the Super Friends. So we are now using the term Super Friends for our channel members, not Legionnaires, because you guys aren't really you're not like soldiers. You've become friends of the channel. So I thought, why not use Super Friends? So let's thank Dan, Sean, Steven, Brennan, Mark D, RR, who's waiting backstage. He's on tonight with us, so that's great. Philip, Esfon82, Digger Jim, Quagnar, Legion of Comics, and Just Joe, our newest super friend. There is only one tier right now for the memberships, which is Super Friend tier. Get a little S next to your name. So thank you to all of you guys. And I always thank, now, Clobby, our good friend Mike Alonzo, who we missed tremendously. He would have come tonight. He definitely would have come tonight, but he's not a fan of either of these movies. And we've talked privately. I gave him a challenge about a year ago, and I said, give Dredd, Carl Urban, give that movie another go, see what you think, and let's discuss it. And we discussed it, and I think he liked it a little bit more the second time around. Plus, I gave him some prep saying, hey, remember, the budget's not there. The world isn't going to be exact, but it's like a solid action movie on its own terms. I actually love the movie. I've seen it many, many, many times, and sometimes multiple times in the same day, and sometimes even back-to-back viewings. So it's a great movie. I think he liked it a lot more the second time around, but he still didn't really like it. But we always acknowledge Mike Alonzo, our friend Clobberin time. So I put him as a super friend next to I very carefully placed him. I put him right next to Kurt Swan, Superman. I didn't put him next to John Byrne, Superman. But next to Kurt Swan. I that was very intentional. All right, let's bring in the boys and we can say hello to the chat and get going here. All right, let me see. I've got some intros here. I still have Charlie's intro. Let's do it. Hey, it's the old intro, but still a good one.
All right, it works.
Let's do this one for our.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Hey. And we're gonna do Conan for our buddy Mr. Judge Ross.
How you doing?
All right. Let's say hello to everybody who's in the chat. Joe Dog was your first. Joe Dog, I messaged you. Let me know. You watch Return of the Living Dead. Oh, I love Return of the Living Dead. Return of the Living Dead Part 3 is my favorite, directed by Brian Yuzna, with Melinda Clark, who's my number one favorite. Big time first crush. I met her. She was my first photo op. Got her autograph. I met Brian Yuzna, who autographed my Return of the Living Dead 3 VHS copy. I have the poster for it. I had a custom-made T-shirt for it. I also have the soundtrack, the official release CD soundtrack for Return of the Living Dead Part 3. It was the first shirt I wore to my first day of university. And on my first day of university, I met a guy there named Max. And Max is like, oh my God, Return of the Living Dead 3, that's an awesome shirt. I was like, yes, it is awesome. I was like, you are correct in realizing that this is an awesome shirt. And we became buddies while in university. So thank you. FK is here with the CT. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that, man. Classic Comics is here. Thank you so much, buddy, for coming on. It's been a month since the heart attack was December 12th. Internal bleeding, kidney stones were always there. Internal bleeding and fracture was January 1st. The first January. Something on TikTok. I don't use TikTok. I know I the only TikTok I like is the Army of Oz TikTok from Return to Oz. Mark D, how's it going? Super friend Mark, thank you, buddy. Joe Dog, yeah, let's do it. Thank you. Mark for death. Steven Skull, he was out for justice. He was above the law. He was hard to kill, and now he's marked for death. How is he going to get unmarked? Steven Seagal doesn't knock. Steven, listen, babe. I can't wait to talk about this movie. I started writing notes. I'm like, why? Why am I writing notes on it? Oh my God. I think everyone's going to be angry at me on Wednesday, even though I love Mark for Death, but everyone's going to be angry at me because I think I might have to destroy it.
We're never angry at you, Jay, man. It'll be
it's entertaining.
Yeah. Angry Joe told you about that Superman homepage. Yeah, so Steve Eunice is going to be on. Yeah. Oh, Mark is here. Super friend Mark. Thank you, buddy. He didn't like the world building and the costume. Yeah. Like a world building. Yeah. Super best friends. No. Well, no. Super friends is good enough. You bought you DK2, you never finished it. Yep. I know. That's okay. Some people don't like it. I've grown to like it now.
I went into a comics. The guy at my comic book store said, "You pre-ordered this, and I'm sorry I have to sell it to you."
Yeah. I mean, what do you got to do? Hey, Tevia, what's going on, brother? Yeah. Look, it was weird. It's definitely misunderstood. And looking at it now with fresh eyes, I can definitely see what Miller was going for. And then I watched, there's a guy named Salazar Knight who does Batman videos, and he still didn't like it. His conclusion was that he still didn't like it and didn't think it worked as a Batman story, but he pointed out certain things that made sense that I didn't know about at the time. And when it came out and what, state of mind of Frank Miller and all that stuff. So it makes more sense that way. And poking fun at a lot of the 90s tropes, the huge weaponry, the over-sexualized women, like crazy panels. And it's like sort of even out of proportion art, it's like all of that stuff. He was making fun of it, which coincidentally, he made all this dark stuff popular, this ultra violence and big weapons. He made it popular with The Dark Knight Returns. And then now he's making fun of his own kind of thing. So anyway, all right, let's go Dredd. So I'm assuming everyone has seen these Dredd movies. No one's seen them. Notes. You got notes. Wow.
Oh, I've got notes.
Memory.
So
I was going to say the movie plays 24/7 up here. That's pretty much it.
Instead of my usual.
Well, hopefully the Carl Urban movie.
Both, just both at the same time, just constantly going.
Yeah, the best. My background this time is a photo of my cabinet of some of my.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome. All my stuff's really small. I got the pictures, the action figures.
Yeah.
The tattoo, it's all Dredd all the time.
That's on the smaller figures on the second shelf. I took a picture of those too, but
that's badass. Yeah, that's.
I
only have one figure, and it's the generic one that most people would have had. Like just that one. It's in my closet. I don't feel like going. Charlie has it. That's it. That's the one I have.
I was gonna say, I know I've got the one you've got.
I stopped collecting before those. I stopped collecting the toys and stuff around the time those came out because I just couldn't afford it anymore.
Yeah.
One of my, I don't think you can see it here, but like back in the 80s, 2000 AD used to sell like a Judge Dredd and Judge Death candle through the comic. And it was like it was like this big, and it was made out of black wax and painted. And a friend of mine went to England and kind of like went backpacking around and found the candle. She went to Forbidden Planet and got the candle and put it in her bag and brought it back. And a lot of the paint had flaked off because it was already old by the time she got a hold of one. Yeah. But it's one of my most it actually looks like a big black sex toy now, but it's one of my most prized possessions.
I wasn't ready for anything all right, but where's my
You clearly haven't listened to my podcast.
Yeah, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I'll give you a Stella here. No, so I started grabbing these I was grabbing these when they were coming out because I found that this was just easier to get. They're all the reprints. These are the original releases, and I got the first like 6 of these or so, 5 of these.
Those are great.
And then I've been getting Dredd magazine for the last few months you know, I think so. I think I started. Well, I didn't start with this one. I grabbed ones that were on sale from the 2000 AD site. So I'm trying to think where I started. Probably like 4 or 5, 1, 2, 3. So like 5, 6, 8, about 8 months ago, I started. I'm 3 behind, as I told you guys backstage, because 2000 AD, like Canada Post strike, really messed us up here. And you just, so I'm like so many behind. And demonetize. What happened? Demonetize? No, I'm not.
I didn't swear or anything.
Oh, no. We won't get no. Well, you could swear anyways.
You want me to?
Only if not Tarantino style, but like if not Wolf of Wall Street or Tarantino, but if you need to
swear if I draken want to.
Drock, you can Drock and swear.
I'm being nice. I know J-Man gets money for this, so I'm not going to cuss like I normally do.
I do get.
I won't swear in English. How's that?
There you go.
Perfect.
We need a Judge Dredd sequel to Carl Urban. Yeah, so I saw that movie in the theater. I saw both in the theater, and I don't know. Like I'll say this really quickly. We can each do our thing really quickly about how we saw it, and then we'll get to the thing. I saw Judge Dredd Stallone movie when it came out in the theater, along with all of those other ones. Tank Girl. There's like a whole bunch of these like other during this time period. I don't know the exact dates of everything, but like Shadow, Phantom, Rocketeer. I love all those. You got your Dredd, you got Tank Girl. What else? All of a sudden, all these like different either pulp heroes, old pulp heroes were coming back. Rocketeer is like almost like a fake old pulp hero. Dredd, Tank Girl, all these things. I was like, yeah, I've heard of Judge Dredd. He's pretty cool. Yeah, I've heard of Tank Girl. And I absolutely love Tank Girl. Got the poster, got the soundtrack, got Lori Petty's autograph. I got the best edition version of the Blu-ray one. I got the CD soundtrack, got the cassette tape. I saw Judge Dredd in the theater, Stallone. Loved it. Go ahead.
Let me ask you about Tank Girl. Now, I saw Tank Girl in the theater, and part of the reason I went to see it is because Devo did the remake of Girl You Want for the soundtrack.
Yeah, I like that. I like the song, yeah.
Now, the version I saw in the theater had like all this, had these like animated cutscenes that looked like the comic.
Yeah, that is what is in there, yeah.
But I've asked a friend of mine who's only ever seen it on some version of video, and he's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And I did see like a cable version, or there's like a version that they cut out all the animated bits. It just
That's
like goes
weird.
right into the movie. Yeah.
All the animated stuff's still on. When Tubi gets it, it's still on there.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
we
It
got
might have
the Umbrella release.
That's the one I have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything on it. So
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
it may have been a TV cut, where they just
Could be.
trim it for time. There's nothing bad in the cartoon parts.
Maybe there was
so
something
I don't
about the
know why they
rights
would.
or the
It could have been that too.
back. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, so I saw Judge Dredd, and because it's a Stallone movie, and I knew Judge Dredd, and it had the comic pages in the beginning, just like the Return to the Swamp Thing, which I love, just like Tank Girl, all that kind of stuff. So I love when they show the comics. I walked out, I was like, this is the damn greatest movie ever. I was like, this is awesome. And I remember my buddy Jay, same name as me, he's like, that was awesome. I was like, yeah, this is great. Schneider, everyone thought, oh, he's a bit goofy. But we knew he was in it, so I was like, well, he's going to be goofy because that's his thing. So I walked out sick and think this is like the damn best. So then I started to look up Judge Dredd, and then I started to get some whatever I could find. My comic shop had freebie ones, and you'd find little things here and there. I was like, yeah, that movie is kind of not. I was like, oh, it's not really. It kind of looks like Judge Dredd and Rico's there and those guys, and it's not exactly the comics. And I was like, but it's too late now because I already love the movie, so I can't go back and pretend to unlove it. The only time that ever happened was Starsky and Hutch, when I remember watching the old Starsky and Hutch TV show, which I thought was a great TV show. Then the movie came out, and my wife and I went to go see the movie, and I thought it was really fun. It was fun. It was funny. I loved the characters, right? And then because the movie came out, they had the Starsky and Hutch Complete Series DVD, 4 volumes set. So I bought the whole set, and I was like, I haven't watched this since I was a little kid on repeats. And then I watched the series. I was like, this series is awesome, and this movie is a piece of shit, and I despise it. And I hate it. But that didn't happen. And like literally, my wife and I were like, wow, that movie is so garbage. They mixed up the characters. They actually mixed up the personalities of Starsky and Hutch. I'm like, That's not how Hutch behaves. That's how Starsky behaves. Anyways, but that didn't happen with Judge Dredd. I love this movie. The first CD I ever bought was the Judge Dredd soundtrack. It had a Rob Zombie. Or was he White Zombie or Rob Zombie?
White Zombie.
It was White Zombie. I'll never remember. To me, it's Rob Zombie. Like it's what I know. It's White Zombie, but
early on is White Zombie.
Alan Silvestri, isn't it?
Yeah, Alan Silvestri.
Judge. Yeah.
He did that special music for that wasn't on the CD. That was the trailer music. That was the first time I realized that the soundtrack doesn't give you the everything
score.
Yeah. Right.
It doesn't give you all the score.
Yeah.
It might give you 1 or 2 tracks of the score, but it doesn't give you the full score. I was like, oh no, I didn't have it. Dun, 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 dun. I was like, oh, I really love that song. Anyways, I've seen that trailer 4 billion times. I would repeat watch the trailer. So anyway, that's my thing. And then of course, Urban. Saw that opening day with Steven and Sean, my regulars. We all walked out saying, wow, this is just bloody incredible. I can't believe it. And I also saw The Raid. I saw The Raid in the theater as well. And I know people say, oh, it's just like The Raid. I'm like, well, The Raid was 10 out of 10 and Dredd was 10 out of 10. So I don't care. I got 2 awesome movies. I don't know what people are complaining about. 2 awesome, unique, they're different movies to me.
Did you see Dredd in 3D?
Of course. Yeah. I saw it in 3D. I hate 3D, but the slow-mo drug parts were really cool in 3D.
3D is as God intended, or as God intended.
It was really nice. So there you go. I loved both movies. All right, Charlie, what about you? I guess you saw them in theaters or no?
Well, I didn't get to see Stallone's. Didn't go to the theaters a whole lot, but it was an immediate rent as soon as it came out. Dad and I rented it. I didn't know what Judge Dredd was. I had one Marvel comic Judge Dredd. That was the only thing I ever had. And we watched this movie and we were like, holy shit, this is great. I love every bit of this. It was Stallone, bright colors. I love the aesthetics. I loved, the motorcycles, everything. And when I was a kid, I was like, I don't know what any of this is, but I love it. And the ABC robot, shit like that. I fell in love with it. And then I started trying to find Judge Dredd stuff, and I live in BFE in rural America, and it just didn't exist around here for me. So I'd get 1 or 2. I never had any of the the actual like newspaper 2080s, not till I was a lot older and I found a collection of them. But I've always just loved that movie, and I just loved the look. Dredd, I did go to the theater. Dredd was, I have to go. Yeah. This is my chance to make up for missing Stallone. Absolutely adored it. Carl Urban is just the fucking best, with just a frown face on him the entire time. And I love it. He says way more with less words in that movie. And it's one of the things I've learned about Judge Dredd. And I've now fell into the whole Judge Dredd thing. Is I collect the toys. I have multiples of the comics and the books, and anything that has Judge Dredd's picture on it, I try to get it. And it's part of me. It's on me right now. I've got a sleeve of Judge Dredd. And, anytime I get a friend that does artwork, I'm like, can you draw me Judge Dredd? And it's like, really? More? I'm like, yeah. So there's like that one. There's one I'm staring at. I mean, I have it everywhere. And I adore this character. You're making me do a versus tonight, and I'm not happy about it. That's my biggest
this is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, because I'm not going to make it easy. So, but that's me, short and simple. I just love Dredd.
All right. What did you see both in the theater or? All
right. So I was introduced to Judge Dredd, the character, when we were visiting family in the UK. I picked up 2000 AD. It's black and white. I think it's like 1981 or 2, and I think it was the one Judge Dredd story that John Byrne drew. And try and get hold of it, because it's really funny, and it's a very good story. But John Byrne was such a diva that he burned his bridges with 2000 AD, so they didn't want him back after that. So I knew the character, and then when these started to come out, because we lived in Canada at the time. When these started coming out, I started collecting them because I knew who Judge Dredd was. I played the role-playing game with my mates because we loved Judge Dredd. We thought it was great. Went to see the Stallone film in the cinema, and I can't get into my thoughts because that's for later in the stream. Yeah. But I'll just say this. So the key criticisms that the chat have made, that I'm sure Judge Charlie and Judge Ross and Judge J-Man will make, I'm going to make too. to me, so the Stallone film, I enjoyed aspects of it, but aspects of it, but all in all, yeah. It was, someone said it was, I think Classic Comics, it was a Stallone film, and yeah, so it was a
Right.
Stallone film in Judge Dredd's clothing. So yeah, a bit disappointed. When when Dredd came out 2012, I was living here in New Zealand, of course. It was at the local cinema. I was very, very busy that year. Was sort of finishing up law school and other things, and I didn't actually get to see it in the cinema. And also, I didn't have any confidence that it could be done right. And then, a little bit later, I thought, back then there was still, you could still hire DVDs. We hadn't got rid of all the DVDs yet. So I thought, I'll just check it out on DVD, just have a look, and discover that it is one of the greatest movies ever made. It is, yeah, it's not just a great Judge Dredd movie. It is a great movie. That there's a perfection in the storytelling, characterization, everything in that film that is very hard to match, given its incredibly efficient runtime. Yeah. So I don't want to get into that, but let's just say, yeah. So that's yeah. I didn't see it in the cinema. Wish I had, but I didn't. But you could probably guess what I'm going to say later. Sorry. Over to you, Judge Ross. Sorry, mate.
Judge Ross. Yeah, so without going into super details, because we're going to break down the story, the pacing, the artistry, we're going to do it my space way.
Oh, yes.
Right.
All right.
So I'm going to address a few of the things that are in the chat here too, if that's all right.
All right.
So I saw the Stallone movie at the Cinerama Dome in Hollywood. And the first time I saw it at the Cinerama Dome, I saw it there twice. The first time I saw it, a friend of mine had won some contest, so it was like a special screening of it. And the version I saw, Fergie dies. He gets shot in the stomach and dies rigging the Hammerstein robot. So if you watch the Stallone version, or if you watch the regular theatrical version of the Stallone movie, you can see it's just like a tight shot of him, going like, yeah, that's all right, when they're hauling him out, because that's like a reshoot that they just like did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then and it's my great regret that we had an opportunity to see a live stunt show with the Lawmaster motorcycles, and we were so tired, and Hollywood was such a terrible place at the time that we just went, nah, let's get out of here. So, and then the second time I saw it at the Hollywood Cinerama Dome, it was like the regular theatrical cut that everybody has seen. The Carl Urban one, I saw him at the San Diego Comic-Con. They brought him out and Olivia Thirlby and some people from Rebellion, and I recorded that panel for the podcast that I do, which is called Everything Comes Out Back to 2000 AD. So I've been doing that for 10 years. So for 10 years, every week I talk about Judge Dredd for
10 years later.
Yeah,
like in movies, it always says 10 years later.
Yeah, hours. So, I mean, the old man's not what it used to be, 2080 ain't what it used to be, but back in those days, man, it was flying on all cylinders. I came to the comic, so of course I saw the movie in the theater in 3D a couple of times, and then the comic I first came across the Brian Bolin covered reprints from Eagle Comics, and got all of those. And then like in the mid 80s, those. Then in the mid 80s, I was really lucky because it was almost impossible to get 2000 AD here in the States. So I had a friend over in the UK who, or I made a pen pal over in the UK, and I traded American comics, and he would send me like a monthly box of 2000 AD and the magazine. Well, the magazine didn't come until years later, but his daughter was getting Smash Hits magazine at the time, so he'd throw that in there too. So I got and plus whatever pop culture thing. So I got stuff that like 2000 AD poster magazines, 2000 AD super specials. By the way, our TNZ, the Burn story was in one of the super specials, a summer special. It wasn't the regular 2000 AD. So, and then somebody was saying about the costume. There's a big Versace art book. The Stallone uniform was designed by Versace, the fashion designer. So there's a big Versace book that has like 2 pages, or at least 1 or 2 pages, of his sketches for that Dredd costume. And there's one where the neck is like, it's a V-neck that comes all the way down here. I swear to God, it looks like a Judge Dredd version of Kiss. It looks like something Paul Stanley would have worn on stage. And then let's see, Classic Comics talked about the comics, of course. By the way, Classic Comics, I love your icon, Phantom of the Paradise. And then the rest of it, I guess we can. Oh,
well, okay.
Yeah,
so we'll get into more details of it then.
Yeah.
All right. So let me put the poll up. Let me put the poll in the chat here. Hold on a second here. Should I just say which one do you like better, or should I add some? Oh, let's see. Okay, Dredd.
You're gonna do your star
versus. Okay,
you could have an option that you would like them equally, because there's going to be a lot of people, I think.
Urban versus Stallone. I'll say Urban was way better. Stallone was way better. Both were good for what they were, and both suck.
Well, also, I would say
said no one ever.
Well, yeah, I would say that there's pluses and like where one it has pluses, the other one, and maybe some minuses. The other one has pluses and maybe some minuses.
Exactly.
That's why 100%. I wanted to do it this way, because I think the the Call Urban movie is a 10 out of 10 action masterpiece. It's flawless. I love everything that happens in every second of the movie. Mm-hmm. I thought Anderson was friggin' awesome. Mm-hmm. I like training her. There's no origin for Dredd or anything. It's just mission. I like when we're doing Commando in a couple of weeks. I like Dredd better than Commando. Blasphemy maybe, but I'm using Commando as another example of like where I like where there's a clear objective. It's like the first 10 minutes, it's like hero, villain, like objective, setting. It's all established, and then it plays out in an awesome way that never lets up. Commando may have been the template. The Commando's a great template for action movies. Mm-hmm. It's one of the better. It's a perfect template. Like, is it better than this and that? We're not, is it better than Die Hard? Is it better than fucking, like First Blood? I don't know. I'm just saying that template, like, is perfect. This movie is like, started off as like, shit. Yeah. Like Dredd takes out those guys, take Anderson out on her first. He goes, it's all the deep end. Throw in the deep end. It's all the deep end. Yeah. Throw it, get out. And then it's like, this is going back to Yojimbo. I love random, Yojimbo's walking 2 paths. Mm-hmm. You remember he just takes a stick. He's like, I don't know, throw shit. It's like, I'm going this. And then the whole movie happened because he went that path. I love that. It's like, call it. What do we, let's go to Peach Trees. Let's go. And then that's the whole thing. And then it's all in one location. I know there's budget. This is an example of where the budget worked with what they were doing. They saw the budget. They're like, okay, we can't really do this because the Stallone movie looks awesome. In the theaters, guys, I was like, wow. Yeah. This future, like, this is a comic book. Like, this is like Mega City One or whatever. Like, oh, this is amazing. And going into the Cursed Earth and shit, I was like, wow. So I knew that wasn't going to happen, right? Like, you knew going in, that's not going to happen in this movie, right? No. Like, but they did the best that they could. All right, what were we going to say, Judge Ross?
Well, when I saw the Stallone one at the Cinerama Dome, Fergie's shuttle goes over the wall, right? And then I was like, oh, and I was watching it with friends who knew like how much I love Judge Dredd. They're like, ah, and then it goes, and then I'm like, oh, that's freaking awesome. And then it goes like over even higher up, and then they show the Statue of Justice, which is kind of a deep cut for the comic book fans. And then there's a famous Judge Dredd story called Un-American Graffiti,
Hmm.
with a character called Chopper who does like the smiley face, all over the stuff. And the Statue of Justice has the Chopper graffiti on it, and I was like, we're in for some deep cuts, yes. And then the music's like da 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 da, da, and I was like, this is the greatest movie ever made. 5 minutes in, and then like when they show the comics at the beginning, so they keep talking. Say some of the guys in the chat keep talking about the helmet thing. Apparently, Stallone loved the lore goes. I've heard other things since, but the lore goes that Stallone loved the comics so much that he wanted to keep the comic, or he wanted to keep the helmet on, and it was his idea to show the comics during the opening credits. But the producers said, if we're paying for Sylvester Stallone, we want to see Sylvester Stallone's face.
Right.
And that's why when you see the trailer with a dun 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 dun, you don't see Sylvester Stallone in it at all. You just see his name in big red letters. But then in the movie, I had a friend who knew like literally down to the second when he takes his helmet off. So in the movie, that's why he's without the helmet, is because the producers wanted to get internationally. They knew that the people wouldn't know who Dredd was, so
Right.
they know.
I mean, yeah.
Nobody knows who Carl Urban is, so he gets to keep
Right.
it.
He was executioner in Thor. Okay. So
well, we know because we love him for everything else.
I actually like Carl Urban was that guy who was like, I don't know where I first saw him, and I'm like, I like this guy. He's pretty cool. And then I'm like,
Lord
hey,
of the
it's
Rings.
that guy. Lord of the Rings or whatever. I was like, I like that.
Xena
guy.
Warrior
Cool.
Princess.
I was going to say Xena.
Xena Warrior Princess.
And I liked him and everything. You're like, hey, it's that guy. I like him. And then it became, I really like that. Yeah, hey, that's that Carl Urban guy. I really like this guy. And then every time you see, you're like, oh yeah, he's good in this too. All right, so let's go. Okay. Let's start up. We got to start up. We're already like 36 minutes, and I can already see this getting derailed. Okay. Space, story, pacing, artistry, characters, enjoyment, Pathfinder. Yes, I love Pathfinder. Okay. Story. So instead of ranking them, we're not ranking them out. I think the Carl Urban movie is a 10 out of 10. So there's no point in giving the score. What we are going to do is we're going to say which one do we think has the better of this. So storyline, which movie has the better storyline? Does anyone have for sure they know which one has the better storyline and they want to go first? Are you shake? Okay, which one has the better storyline?
Yeah. Well, Dredd is a better storyline. As you said, it's an incredibly efficient story, right? Mm-hmm. It's what looks like happenstance but isn't. And the story is, we'll get to character in a moment, but the story in Dredd is simple but not simplistic. Or have I got that backwards? Maybe it looks simplistic, but it's not simple. Like there is complexity to it.
Oh, for sure.
It unfolds in a way that is direct. It doesn't mess around with the audience or do any non-linear storytelling tricks or any of that other crap. It just gets on with it. And the beats, the pacing. Oh, pacing separate. Sorry. It's great. Whereas Judge Dredd, Stallone's film, is a pastiche of different story elements from Dredd comics, and it's put them together in a way that is kind of awkward. Like you got the Angel Gang, you got an ABC Warrior, you've got Rico, which is a story all by itself. You've got elements of the day the Lord died, right? It's awkward. If you're a comic book fan of Dredd, you'd be like, oh, it's that. Right. But to a general audience, yeah, I give it a lower ranking.
Okay, so the Carl Urban Dredd movie, is definitely Okay, Ross, what do you think? Which one has the better story?
Okay, so the Carl Urban one has a more linear, like this was made for this one movie storyline. The Stallone one, as our TNZ said, it's the Judge Rico storyline expanded with, and the ABC Warrior was never in the Judge Dredd comics. It was in 2000 AD as one of the other stories. Mm-hmm. Which the Judge Rico story and the story that ABC Robot appears in, those were both written by Pat Mills. So it's like same writer, totally different universe. but they did do a crossover story where Judge Dredd finds like an ABC robot in the sand. It was like a one-off thing and never talked about again. Anyway, the Stallone movie is awkwardly told, and the humor doesn't always translate well. So obviously, Carl Urban's for what it is, the Carl Urban movie is going to have to get it.
Okay, so you're going with Carl Urban?
Yeah.
Okay, Ross. All right, Charlie.
Yeah, this is where it gets difficult because I look at these movies in way two different lights.
Yeah.
I look at Dredd as I picked up an issue of the comic and I'm reading this one story of the comic. It's one mission of Judge Dredd. When I saw Judge Dredd with Stallone, not knowing anything about this character, it was a world building movie for me. I wanted to see everything. What's going on? Oh, there's, the Angel Gang outside in, the cursed earth. There was, there's the prison area that they send everyone to, the cubes, and then you had the Hall of Justice, and then it was so much that I was just taking it in as someone that never experienced this. So I can't say which one is better because both were effective for me. Both gave me what I wanted. One built a world that got me hooked, and then the other was, all right, instead of Judge Dredd saving Mega City 1, let's put him on one mission against one drug dealer with a new recruit with Anderson, which I love that Anderson even got put in there. I like Hershey in the other one, but I understand now that technology can kind of show the psychic ability with Anderson now with this, especially when you did it in 3D. We talked about the slow-mo, but her going into the dude's minds in that movie in 3D was actually badass as well. So to me, like if I was putting this a score, both would have a 2 because of what they did for me as far as being a Dredd fan in the movies. So that's they both.
Okay, all right. We'll give you the tie. Hold on, tied. Yeah. So to me, the Stallone one is sort of like the Dick Tracy movie, where there's everything in one movie, and then you're kind of like, when you're first watching it. I'm with you, Charlie, in the sense when I saw it in the theater, I wasn't thinking, there's just too many things going on here, and how many? Because I didn't know anything, right? And I saw the Dick Tracy movie. Now, Dick Tracy, I did know about. I saw Dick Tracy as like, that's a lot of villains that just got wiped out in like 5 seconds.
Immediately dead.
I like that guy. And I was like, I have the toy of him. He's dead.
Yeah.
The makeup costs too much, so you only get one scene.
You only get one scene with those guys.
Nuts.
So, but with Judge Dredd, I was more like, wow, this world is crazy. There's so much cool shit going on. And then you get back and you start reading, like, oh, this is all like separate things. If I told you now, you'd be like, okay, yeah, we're throwing this thing in here and this thing in here. Like, may as well throw Judge Death in there, throw that shit in there too. Like, whoa, there's too much. The internet fogies would be like, why is there all these things in this movie? It's too many characters. But when I'm watching it, I was like, this is awesome. Like, oh man, Rico. Oh shit, he's the clone. Oh shit, that's so cool. Right. And it's like, oh, who's the clone? Is Dredd the clone? Oh my God, what's going on? Right. And that was all cool. And then it's like, oh my God, he's making more guys. Like he's making more Dredds. Like that's kind of cool. And that robot and the angel fan was like, and I'm sitting there thinking, my God, I want to see a whole movie with just these angel guys. They're super cool. It's like, and then you're in the cursed earth. I'm like, wow, that could just be a movie. And to me, that's exciting.
Well, killing off the angel gang in 5 minutes is akin to killing off all the Dick Tracy villains.
Yeah, it's shitty.
Yep.
But at the time, you're
now
just like,
we see that. Yeah.
Right. But at the time, you're like, wow, this is really neat.
Mm-hmm.
And now, so I'm going to go with the Carl Urban one because the Stallone one starts to get a bit weird. Like I would have given that storyline a 1.5 on my scale, saying there's a lot of cool stuff in there. I'm into it. I like framing Dredd. It's like, oh, I must be a judge. What's like, oh yeah, the DNA. Wait, how does he have the DNA? Like it's a little bit of a mystery as to how they framed him. it's a little bit obvious. It's like, oh, Judge Dredd, he is the law. I stand up for the law, and now he's accused to show that the law is fallible or whatever. I'm like,
Right.
okay, I get what you're doing, but then I'm like, yeah, but I just like Judge Dredd. I like that Judge Dredd is believed to be awesome, and then he is awesome. That's why I like with the Carl Urban one. There's no weirdness of like, oh, now he's framed and no one believes him. It's like, yeah, fuck off. Like,
Well,
like you know what I mean? Like, I like that it's just like Dredd is awesome, and then he's just seen as awesome throughout the whole movie. So I'm going with.
I'm going to ruin the Stallone movie for some people who might not have realized this, but the scene when they're flying around on the Lawmasters, there was talk of making it one of those flight simulator type of rides for an amusement park.
Oh, okay.
So so it's like it had to go in there for that, and then Dredd's basically killing those SJS judges. They don't know that he's innocent. They think he's, they're legitimately good lawmen who think he's broken the law, and they're trying to kill him. And he's like merrily throwing him into the sides of buildings, and the buildings are exploding and stuff because it's got to look cool for the ride at the amusement park.
Well done.
I see.
And when they were developing the script was supposed to be, now think about the Stallone story now. The script was supposed to be Ben-Hur, the story of Ben-Hur, retold with the Judge Rico story on top of it. So it's like two guys who love each other.
Cain and Abel.
Yeah, it's
Masala, and I've seen Ben-Hur many times.
Yeah, so it's totally the Ben-Hur story, and then like that Lawmaster chase was supposed to be basically the chariot race, and you could go once you know that, it's like beat for beat, it suddenly is like, oh my god. So I don't know if that makes better or worse, but I'll tell you,
Still looks cool.
It
still looked awesome.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
So I read a draft that was written by the guy who went on to write RoboCop, and it's like he had 3 of the famous stories from the comic book, and just transcribed them into a screenplay with this awful linking device that he made up, that was made up for the movie, and even though it was like 100, and it's kind of like the Sin City effect or the Watchmen effect, where if it's like 100% faithful to the source material, that doesn't translate into a great movie. Whatever the complaints are about the Stallone movie, we dodged a bullet. Like that one, that screenplay would have been much worse.
Would have been worse than what we had gotten.
For the Stallone.
May I add one thing on the point of story?
Mm-hmm.
In 2012, Dredd Urban, the setup and payoff of events in the story. So an event early in the story sets up an event that's paid off later is perfection. And someone pointed this out to me. It may have been you, Jay, man. I can't remember who pointed it out, but someone pointed out to me. One of the things that happens in the story is, of course, that the Wood Harris character, Kay, goes to execute Anderson with her own lawgiver, right?
Right.
We all, as fans of the comic, we all know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But earlier on, when she's interrogating him psychically, right, she shows him an image of himself shooting her with her lawgiver. So she inceptioned that into his mind. She set that up earlier. I can't remember who pointed it out, but I was like,
I don't think I did.
boom!
Yeah.
That's the level of care in that story, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's a guy named Rob Ager who does these film analysis. You should subscribe to him. And I've bought videos from him. I actually purchased videos from him. He does like big time super analysis videos. Like I watched 8 hours of analyzation of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh,
but he's done Dredd. He did a like, I think it's either an hour or 90-minute deconstruction of C-3PO from Star Wars. And I love C-3PO and how like he's like the most important character, all this stuff. It's really awesome. Anyways. But yeah. Well, he tells the audience the dangers, right? Without him, you wouldn't know because he tells you the danger.
Exposition
right?
droid.
Yeah,
he's exposition, but it's a new world that you haven't seen before. So when they're using these terms, it's like, you don't know what they mean. It's like, sir, the chances of surviving are this. It's like, oh, okay, that's dangerous, because otherwise you wouldn't know. Anyways, whatever. But he did Dredd, and it's about an hour long, about this movie, all of the different things with, like, Anderson and Carl Urban and Mama and all that stuff. Like, he really deconstructs that movie. So anything that either I noticed it myself or he pointed it out, and I don't think he pointed that out, or if he did, I may have missed that point. So I don't think I told you that, but that is awesome that she gave him that idea to, just in case if it happens, you can try to use my weapon, knowing that it'll blow
because
you
it
up.
should be known. Judges aren't new. They wouldn't be the first person to grab their gun, and it's a defense mechanism because someone's pulled it.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that she would fuck with his head.
Yeah.
Well, Urban sets it up at the very start when he's putting his gear on, his helmet on, in his face in shadow, and he grabs the gun, and it says "Judge recognized."
Yeah,
so it sets it up. Anderson pays it off a little more, and then boom! Yeah. Oh, that's the kind of character in this story.
Even Mama giving the slow-mo to those guys, then she gets the slow, and then Dredd gives her the slow-mo to push her off that thing. I love that.
Exactly.
That's great too. Like, she dies in the same way that she's been inflicting her pain on others. But okay, so the pacing, I mean, I'll say for the pacing right now that it's definitely the Urban one. I find, like, there's not even 1 millisecond where I thought this scene can go. Like, every scene matters. Every scene progresses the story, but also gives a character moment, but also is awesome. So I was like, I don't know, like, this movie's crazy. We're sitting in the theater, like, I'm in disbelief. I can't, but my top 20, 30, top 50 movies don't really alter hardly ever. Like, it's like Flash Gordon, Star Wars, Conan, Superman, Flash Gordon, Escape from New York, Mad Max, 12 Angry Men. 12 Angry Men is there. I like classics. Planet of the Apes. Right? Like, it's like these movies don't get altered, and then you go to the next, like Alien, Indiana Jones, right? A couple of the Bond pictures, right? Like, it's like it's like you watch, that was pretty good. It's like, oh, is it making your top 30? No. Lord of the Rings maybe was the last time where that got broken, and then it's like, but Dredd, I was like, shit, this might be, like, I've watched it so many times. What are you gonna say?
A lot of it has to do about your age, because I was like 10, 11, 12 years old when I saw my first Bond movie, which was A Spy Who Loved Me, and the boomers are all like, oh, Sean Connery's the only James Bond, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no. I am imprinted on Roger Moore.
My mom has Roger Moore's autograph, but it's one of those ones where she, as a little girl, she sent it into the fan club, and then they sent her one. It was probably done by that pen machine.
Oh, maybe.
Remember they had those machines that just signed.
The autograph thing.
It's an autograph machine. So he just signed it once.
Yeah, it's following his autograph, but it's
right. So she gave me that because I love Roger. Well, For Your Eyes Only is a masterpiece movie for me.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Pretty awesome.
Actors Archive. So.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go. All right. So pacing, Carl Urban. There's not 1 second that I think this is wasted. Like, it's just it's perfect. I can't even. I mean, should be somewhat easier. Charlie, what do you think?
There's no comparison. The Urban one is far superior as far as pacing goes. Not that I would ding the Stallone one that much. It'd probably be 5 because anything that's happening in that one is entertaining. But now that I've watched it so many times, I'm more like, yeah, we could do away with that for a little bit. Yeah, we might be able to do away with that part for a little bit. Dredd with Urban is just like, slow the fuck down for a second so I can comprehend what is going on as I am watching. Because the first time I watched it, it was just insane. It was I'm watching in 3D. I'm trying to like absorb everything. It was just a lot. And the more and more I watch it, you're just like, this thing is just great. It's a breeze to get through. I understand everything. It has no flaws, like J-Man would say. Definitely with the pacing. So Dredd.
Yeah, I've watched it twice, like in the same day. Like I'll watch it in the morning. Like, I don't watch it again. You know, like I mean,
I had it on just before the stream because I had time to kill, and I was just like, I was just going to throw this one on, and it's nothing to get through, especially if it's already like streaming, and I don't have to go dig out my Blu-ray. I'll just click on that.
I've got it on my phone or whatever too.
Well, it's short. It's so short. It's only an hour and 35 minutes.
Which
it's
is what
so
action
short.
movies should be. Just give me good 90 to 100-minute long movies. I don't need 2 hours.
No waste.
Dredd. Yeah.
Well, the
Commando's just over 90 minutes. I told you, Commando's the movie. If you're making an action movie, you don't know what to do. Just watch Commando and just repackage it and change all the
right there. The Commando template.
Right.
The Stallone
Clear
movie
mission.
only 90 minutes too, though.
90 minutes.
Yeah.
Clear mission. Characters established. Villain established. Hero established.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Judge Dredd's the best because immediately he destroyed those guys, right?
Yeah.
And in the opening. And then that's it. It was a 5-minute opening or whatever it was. And then it moved right the shit on and then introduce Anderson. Because I don't need more introduction of Judge Dredd. He already was shown to be the best. We know he's the best. Now it's him training Anderson. And right away, as soon as her helmet's off, which is the best, it's like I was like thinking, when did you realize you got out? It's like, well, it interferes with my psychic ability. He's like, well, a bullet's gonna interfere
more. Yeah. But to be fair, the Stallone movie basically starts the exact same way.
It does.
You get that same shootout. You get that amazing introduction of Dredd. Stepping off of the law, the lawmaster.
Yes.
And you're just fucking staring up at the. I didn't know Dredd's mask was never supposed to come off his helmet.
I didn't know that either.
The first time I watched it. So I was like, yeah, show me Stallone now. Yeah, that fucking little microphone drops down and he's just.
I am the law. Drop your weapons.
Why are you guys down here? Those are whatever caliber, the lethal range is.
Lethal range. 30 meters or whatever. It's like
200 meters. Yeah.
So whatever it is. Yeah. It's like,
I love it. But
that was great.
I did like when I watched Dredd for the very first time, you're kind of like, oh, they're kind of doing it, but definitely way more gritty, way more graphic. And it worked. We got an R-rated Dredd, which really hurt, Stallone's not being an R-rated Dredd.
All right. R
James Remar cameo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let me guess. Life. All right. Our pacing. Do we need to
pace? No, you don't need to talk about pacing. For comparison's sake, Dredd itself, perfection on so many levels.
Yeah. Just
a quick question. I think a key element that we do need to discuss for comparison is humor. Which of your criteria would humor go under? Would that be under enjoyment, do you think?
Sure, yeah, we can talk about that because the enjoyment is just anything goes, like whatever else it's not really covered. Cool. And if it's humor in terms of a character saying funny things, you could talk about it in the character section.
Okay. So just the overall humor, because anyway, there is one criticism I would level at Dredd. Compared to its source material, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Now, but Dredd film, urban perfection. The Stallone film, I felt because I thought the pastiche approach, the shotgun approach, throw everything against the wall, see what sticks. Like, okay, Jamie, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but the Stallone movie, right, was to Judge Dredd comics what Multiverse of Madness was to Marvel comics. Just throw a whole bunch of shit in there, see what happens. Anyway,
Multiverse of Madness.
I know, and that's why I said it, because I know you like that movie.
Yeah, but there's a cape of zombie. The guy's got a zombie cape. I'm like, this is pretty awesome. Also, I love Scarlet Witch.
I know. I don't want to derail the stream, but anyway, so I feel like Judge Dredd, Stallone's film, drags in places.
Yeah,
because it's trying to tell 3 stories at once. It drags in places. So I didn't know it was only 90 minutes. To me, it feels longer. Whereas it's kind of like Mad Max Fury Road is one of those films you strap in, watch it, and you're like, oh, holy shit, when it's over. Because it's very similar. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And Dredd's like that. Judge Dredd, not so much. So it loses some engagement with its pacing. And that's all I'll say.
Yeah, like I would have given it a 1.5. I wasn't bored. I
Eh,
found everything pretty exciting, but it's
That's
just
fair.
it could have been it could have been cut better. Ross, what do you think has the better pacing?
Well, for a '90s action movie and a '90s comic book movie, Stallone's movie is pretty good. But as it's been said, it had to serve a lot of different masters. It had to serve the producers who wanted to show Stallone. It's like we got to put a robot in it. We got to put all these things from the comic in it. We got to put Ilsa, the Asian girl's got to be in it because we got to have some sex appeal. And
Right.
and it was Rob Schneider's got to be in it and be funny because Americans don't understand 2000 AD humor. They only understand quips and smart alecky stuff and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So and all of that tends to bog it down a little bit. So as you were saying, the mean, slick, streamlined Carl Urban movie, it benefits from being like lean.
Okay. I'll stick with you, Ross, on the next one. Now, this is going to be the most interesting. This is the artistry. So this is going to be the look, the music, the costuming, like the visuals, all that stuff. And it doesn't just need to be, oh, this had a bigger budget. Like we can keep that in the back of our heads, like kind of what they were able to accomplish. So, so Ross, what do you think has the better artistry? So music, look, whatever.
That's a tough one because
this is a tough one, right?
Because like the Stallone one, they went. We're talking about a couple of decades worth of difference in special effects too. So there was the CGI in the Stallone one was pretty primitive, and almost everything else had to actually be built, and that cost money. There are elements from the Dredd comics that are in there, like I talked about the Statue of Justice. The way Mean Machine was done, Mean Machine was actually built by a guy who was an artist in the comic book. The way the sets look and everything else, the Stallone one looks pretty freaking magnificent. The problem is that in trying to keep so close to the comic book, it looks like a comic book, and I think American audiences especially were kind of like, they didn't know what they were looking at, and it just comes off as kind of weird and campy. Especially, and there were some people who were calling out the fact that there were like these big gold eagles all over the place, and they were making it there. I mean, they were kind of like saying this is fascism, and then some people were going like, so we're supposed to be cheering for the fascists in this thing?
That's the point.
Welcome to satire.
That's Pat Mills' point.
But that does not fly in America. Like
to American audiences.
To the most of America. The Carl Urban one, on the other hand, because it's just kind of like badass motorcycle cop goes in the building, and then it's assault on precinct 13 in the future. That the lower budget kind of is served by that. And like you said, they looked at what they had and just maximized it, and didn't go for the big lumpy city blocks, and they didn't go for any of the fantastical characters. And I think there were plans like if it had succeeded, then they could have brought in the Angel Gang, and maybe by the third movie, Judge Death. But I'm gonna say the Stallone movie looks much more like the comic, but the look and feel and everything of the Carl Urban fits the made for a better movie. The score in the Stallone one by itself is really cool, whether it's the songs or the Alan Silvestri score, but throughout that Carl Urban one, the score in that movie is freaking badass with the and all that kind of stuff, and the electronic score that can be just like, if I have to get through washing dishes really fast, I'll put on the Carl Urban score. So
okay, so hold on, which one are you picking? Are you saying they're tied?
No, if I have to pick one, it'd be the Carl Urban.
All right, Carl Urban. All right, I'm gonna pick the Stallone one because when I saw that in the theater, I felt transported to a different world that I've never seen before. Yeah. And I felt like I was living in some weird comic universe that just looks so cool to me with all these different characters. The Carl Urban movie, I would give the artistry a 2 out of 2 on both if I was scoring them, because the Carl Urban one, the slow motion parts, having the drug cause you to see things in slow motion and then using that as an excuse to have slow motion action was a bloody genius idea, because there's always slow motion in movies and you're like, oh, they're overdoing the slow motion, me.
Yep.
But this one gave it an excuse for it, and it was kind of beautiful. It made the violence very beautiful.
Well, it really made the 3D pop too when you saw
it. Did.
3D.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like,
Lord, yeah.
Yeah.
And look, I'd give them both 2 out of 2, but I'm not going to cop out and give it a tie. I want to say this. Look, when I saw it, even now, you watch it now, you're like, God, man, this is pretty awesome. Like, I'll tell you the other thing. Every other future movie, or a lot of future movies, always went for it's a desert, it's destroyed, like Mad Max. Mad Max was the most influential, like, genre picture of all time, because every single thing ever is now destroyed, whatever. This one, it looked awesome. And I like that there's robots everywhere, because even Star Wars, everything's busted up and broken and not working and whatever. Everything looked cool. I love the eat recycled food. That's a hilarious part. It's good for you and the environment, you know. So I love that.
Okay for you.
It's okay for you. Yeah, I love the Dredd uniforms. They look friggin' awesome. I love the eagles and all that. I like the lawgiver look. I like the bikes better. Everything in the Stallone movie, if you took them 1-to-1, I like it better. Yeah. Like, it looks more like your statues back there. I like the Hall of Justice. It's just, everything looked so awesome, and I really felt transported to like a weird, different world. And I was like, wow, this is like really, because Dredd, I know the budget had the problems. They did the best that they could, but Dredd is like, it looks like what I would have expected it to look. Oh, it's like kind of in the future. Oh, okay. It looks like what I expect. But Stallone was not like what I expected. Like, oh, it's in the future. It's like, whoa. Because even RoboCop, they're not too distant, like these not too distant futures. It's like, yeah, okay, everything's shitty, right? It's like everything's always shitty. It's like, where's the cool looking? My buddy and I were like, wow, this looks friggin' awesome. Like, yeah, you're flying around, and then the block wars are brutal, but like it looked cool. I got to give it to the Stallone. Plus the music, I do like the music in Urban's movie as well. But man, that firstly the trailer music is the best. They used it. Every time I saw it that used it in another trailer, I was like, oh, you bastards, that's Judge Dredd's music. It's like you're using Judge Dredd's music.
It's the Avengers.
It's the Avengers now. They used it in the Phantom trailer, but I love the Phantom, so we're giving that one a pass because I love the Phantom.
It was like the Judge Dredd trailer and the Beetlejuice trailer. Whenever they had like a wacky comedy, elements or whatever, they'd use the Beetlejuice trailer.
I'll tell you the biggest sin in cinema. The biggest sin in cinema was they used, and this tricked me in the theater, and this is literally why I never got into this series. I'm sitting in the theater, and I heard the Conan. Conan's my favorite movie. I heard the Conan. Dun, 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 dun. I was like, holy fuck. This is it. Conan. This is part 3. I can't believe it. And then it was the Scorpion King.
Oh, man.
I was like, F this movie. And I went to go see it, and I was just angry the whole movie. And I walked, I was like, this movie sucks. It's probably not that bad. I probably would like it if I watched it now just for schlock value. But I could not forgive it for using the Conan. I know it's not The Rock's fault. He didn't pick the Conan, but I just blamed him. I'm like, you know what? F you, Rock. You're not Conan. It's like, I blame The Rock. I blamed everybody. I know it's the marketing guys who threw the Conan.
Yeah.
But I don't care. Rock got blamed for it. I haven't forgiven him.
Lick the sand off his sandals. Get the fuck out of here.
So I couldn't. I was like, I don't care. And literally, I guarantee if I watch those Scorpion King, there's like 17 of them now. If I watch all 17 of those movies, I'd probably like, they're kind of cool, but I just couldn't forgive it. So anyways, I couldn't forgive for the Conan because I was getting chills. I was like, oh my God, it's Conan. I can't believe this. Like when I saw Escape from LA, the trailer for Escape from LA, and I didn't know that there was an Escape from LA coming.
Oh.
And I saw Snake Plissken, and it's like, because it started off with that weird, I don't know if you remember the trailer. It was like, no, it's like, here's the rules of the theater. And you're like, it's like, while you're in the theater, here's some rules to consider. I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's like no talking, no smoking. There's like no red meat. and all marriages must be approved by the American Health Association. I was like, what the hell is this? This is so weird. And then it was Snake Plissken comes on. He's like, I don't like your rules. I was like, oh my God, it's Snake Plissken. I was like losing my mind. I don't even remember what movie I saw after that trailer. That's all I talked about for the first 10 minutes of what I was like, guys, fucking escape. There's another escape. I can't wait. It's like, that's all I talked about. I walked out there. I was like, Escape from LA. I can't wait. And I love Escape from LA. Don't bother convincing me it's not good.
Your excitement just knocked the front off of my speaker here.
Oh, nice! I'm so pumped for it. Anyways, but I loved it. So that's the thing. This is before internet, where you know now you have a chance to deconstruct everything. Like, hey, that doesn't look like the costume. Hey, that doesn't or isn't the right actor. You know. Anyway, so yeah, Stallone for me wins. Charlie, what do you think for artistry?
Yeah, this one, just like how pacing was so easily picked, artistry is easily picked because it is the Stallone one. It literally jumps up off of the comic book pages for me. Dredd looks amazing, but Dredd is what I expect future totalitarianism to look like. They all look the same in their uniforms. You're not supposed to be able to distinguish who's who or who's a girl, who's a guy. It's very militant. You know, it's very of a military, and a lot of black, and it's very urban. It's, you know, tall ass buildings because that's what they moved everybody into. It's the only way to fit the population into these mega cities.
Right.
But Judge Dredd, man, the blue spandex outfits with gold eagles and chains coming off of them, giant ass motorcycle boots, these helmets that just I'd never seen anything like it, honestly. And it just oozed comic to me. And while it may have turned off some American, you know, watchers, it didn't for me because I was hooked immediately. The city looks amazing. Even all of the other, they weren't judges, but all of the other people that worked for the Hall of Justice, you know, like the Crimson Guard that weren't.
Yeah. Those guys look cool too.
You know, they looked bigger than everyone else. You know, they were amazing. The weaponry just was that. It looked like cable guns everyone was carrying around that Rob Liefeld designed. You know, it's just like, how many more barrels can we put on one of these?
They're all Hasbro action figures.
It was all action figures. Mean is just fucking gorgeous in this movie, man. Whenever he gets into it, I love, you know, the Angel Gang accents. You know, let me get him, Paul.
Oh,
you know, just I'm gonna turn him up to 4.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'm going to 11.
That when he goes, you don't say. That's like right out of the comic. The only problem I had was like that. Whenever you have a villain quoting the Bible or Shakespeare, I'm like, forget it. You know, that is kind of a cliche.
Well, they found a book in the cursed earth. Okay, they didn't know exactly what they were reading.
Yeah.
But is that so? That's Mean Machine's catchphrase.
Yeah.
Is that so?
Is that so? You got 3 strikes, lawman. But you know, I loved all of that. You know, you had flying cars everywhere. It just looked cool. The auto guns on the prison thing. They went all out. Yeah, it's about budget, but they could have done a little bit more in the Dredd one. I mean, they had their standard sidearms, black outfits, and, you know, true terrestrial motorcycles on, you know, with what they had. It felt real and it looked awesome. Filming it for the 3D, yeah, that whole stuff with the slow-mo is it's like glitter going across the screen, and you're watching some dude get shot through the stomach and another guy gets shot through the mouth. Yeah, right through his face. It is visceral but beautiful at the same time. And you know, when Mama bites it at the end, it's still in slow-mo with that blood pouring out, like they got, you know, the camera over the glass. It's gorgeous, but it took 3D to do that. So I'm going to give the edge to the Stallone Judge Dredd as far as artistry goes, because it oozed Judge Dredd to me.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I think a lot of what I would have said has been covered. That the aesthetic of Mega City 1 in the Stallone film is very, very. It's almost perfect to the comics. It's very accurate. Robots, huge blocks, a futuristic look, flying vehicles, the uniform. Yeah. So I probably would give the aesthetic edge, and practical effects too, because the ABC Warrior was done very, very well with practical effects. I thought that was it. It was I mean, it felt a bit out of place, but it was a terrific practical effect. I'll say this though, in defense. So I would give the edge to Stallone, but not by much, and I'll tell you why. If you watch the Urban Dredd film very closely, you will see tons of Easter eggs. For example, there is a poster on, I think it's a cinema or something, or it's by the phone booth where Dredd makes his, Mama is not the law. I am the law. There's a poster that says, it says Chrysler's mark. And of course, that's reference to the Judge Child, Owen Chrysler, right?
Okay.
There's a panning shot going up the block, and you see Chopper scrolled across. In the opening sequence, when Anderson and Dredd are on patrol, if you freeze frame it, you will see the names of the creators on the blocks: Wagner, Grant, Esquera.
Okay.
So
cool.
there is a level of, and I prefer the Dredd urban uniforms because. The Stallone ones are so impractical. I prefer the Lawgiver in terms of urban as well, and the music too. So I think overall Stallone wins, but it's not by much. And it's the subtlety in the urban film, those subtle Easter eggs, right? Like Chrysler's mark, you're not going to catch that unless you're actually, because of course the Judge Child was discernible by the eagle birthmark on his forehead, right? So if you know the comic, there's a bunch of payoffs for you. But yeah,
I missed that. I don't know that storyline.
Yeah,
I don't know all of these.
The Judge Child. Yeah,
I'm
so glad you mentioned Mean Machine though, because that was one moment in the Stallone film where I was like, that's awesome, because that is exactly what Mean Machine is like.
But they weren't cannibals in the comic. I mean, here we go.
No, I don't think so.
Kind of.
No.
Right.
And Fink is a mutant in the comic book as well. Fink Angel.
Well,
he's a green.
I'd let it go
with his poisons.
Like pre-poison Fink, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think in the urban movie too, like that, after he goes in and like melts that guy's face with the hot shot.
Yeah.
I think when he's coming out, there's a drawing of Nemesis the Warlock on the wall behind him. I think it even says Credo. I think
I'm gonna have to look now. Oh my god!
Yeah. No, it's fine.
Just make sure it's not on the.
No, I won't put it in the background.
Right.
Wow, that's
no music. You get nailed for that.
Gosh, yeah, I have a friend of mine, a guy I know well through Facebook and YouTube. Whatnot. He interviewed Pat Mills about a month ago, and they talked about Judge Dredd, and I asked a question about. How does it, is it intentional that you wanted people to cheer? How do you feel about people cheering for the fascist? Because Judge Dredd is satire, right? It's satire. And it's sort of Anyway, so long story short, edge to Stallone, but not by much. Not by as much as some might think.
Yeah. I would have given both categories a 2 out of 2 for artistry. But for me, when I saw the Stallone thing, I felt I was transported to a world I hadn't seen before versus the Carl Urban one. I'm like, yep, this is what I thought it would look like. It's actually what I thought it would have looked like with Stallone, right? Yeah. So I was surprised when I saw the Stallone movie. I was like, wow, this looks really cool. Because all these future movies, they're always beat up, destroyed crap, like all of them.
So I respect all of your choices. In my defense, as somebody who's very, very familiar with the comic and very happy with the way a lot of the thing, like bit by bit by bit, piece by piece by piece, they appeared on screen. Mm-hmm. There's still a part of my brain that's like, it's hard for me not to think of like what could have been. Like that was great, but it could have and should have been better.
No, it's fair.
It's tough when it's like I'm like that with Batman, right? Like Gotham City, where it's like there's my Gotham City of what I think it should be, and then there's like, okay, the movie did this, and did they make it too grungy to the point where why would anyone live there? Sometimes my problem is with Gotham City, like where they make it so dark and garbage. Like, well, why would anyone live here at all anyways? Like, what? It's like, it's too weird.
LA.
Yeah.
like what are the positives of living in Gotham City, right? Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes they lose, like the Batman Adam West show is just a normal city. Like, it's just normal. It doesn't look like a character. It's
You're
just
running the mill, larger city. But then you get like Tim Burton, where especially by the time Returns comes out, it's super gothic.
I like that.
It's not exactly what you would call dirty, but it's dark gothic. But as the other movies go, especially whenever you get into the Batman Begins and stuff, it's getting a little more run down. It's getting a little bit more as it goes. Then they tried to brighten it up, with the Snyder stuff, because now you have to have a stark contrast against Metropolis now, because we're basically going to put them next to each other, for lack of a better term, in those movies. But that's the problem with comparing like Judge Dredd to what we know as our other comic thing is a lot of us don't know all of the other comics. And then Judge Dredd was drawn by so many different people. There's so many different ways to take it. Someone could draw it very dark and gritty. Someone could draw it very light, and hell, it started out black and white, and I'll give credit for Dredd. Dredd does give it that kind of from the black and white thing where it's not oversaturated and it works. But again, as when did that come out? 94, 93. So as a 13, 14-year-old kid seeing this for the very first time, you're just like, this is beautiful. This is amazing. It drops your jaw not knowing anything about it. And you know what? It did its job because it made me want more. So they get some credit for that as far as artistry goes, if we keep it on the same topic.
All right, characters. This is a little tough, actually, because the thing is that Urban is like for sure the best. Anderson is like, I love Anderson. I love Mama. I love every single character. I'm going to say the Urban one has the better characters. I'll just say that. But my dilemma is that I like all of the side people. I like all the Angel guys. I really like Rico because Armand Asante is just like awesome. I love him like destroying guys and all that, and it's like
he's not going to be your puppets.
Yeah,
brothers and sisters.
I don't know. It's just like he is so wicked.
Nice.
He's awesome. I actually like if you go back, like it's tough to if you go back to watching it the first time, both movies, watching it the first time, and not think about watching the Stallone one the 14th time, where it's like, I'm just watching this now because it's a fun movie. It's not really exactly Dredd. I'm just watching it.
Right.
But like, try to remember, like when I sat there watching, I was like, I like Stallone as Dredd. I was like, F these guys. They framed him. I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, let's get this guy back. And then he's fighting these guys. And then Schneider's just like, what the shit, buddy? Like, we got stuff to take care of, and you're being a weird about it. I liked Hershey. She was like a good person. She's just like a good person trying to help her friend out. Mm-hmm. So I liked all that. The thing is that you go to the Urban one, and everyone is like super leveled right up. Like everyone is the best. And I even like that lady who's with Anderson. She's like, oh, is she a pass? I was like, I like this lady. Even even she was cool.
Mm-hmm. Kathy.
Yeah. And I liked, I thought like Mama was awesome because they made her ugly, first of all, which is great. And they didn't just make her ugly because Lena Headey is very attractive, but then they made her look super ugly. They didn't even make her look somewhat. She's just like disgustingly ugly. Her face is all covered. Her teeth are terrible.
Probably her real tattoos, though.
Yeah,
could be. Yeah,
she has a lot of tattoos. So probably her real tattoos.
Yeah,
she was supposed to be morbidly obese in the script, and so she came in to read, and they're like, "Well, we can't have this like sexy lady being the villain."
Yeah, well, they uglied her up.
They're like, all right, let's ugly her up, and she was like, "I'm down."
It works so good because they set her up as basically she was a sex worker, sex slave, whatever you want to call it, and she gets carved up. So one of the things that unfortunately happens is now they want to make sure they are completely unattractive
Right.
to men. They don't want men finding them attractive at all. And Lena Headey is a gorgeous woman. I mean, she's played the wife of kings and, you know, all this other stuff in movies. So
Queen
to
Virgo.
make it where she is purposely trying to make herself unattractive to everyone, and, you know, that he also helps exude power, she nails it. I mean, you're 100% right. They turn all these characters to 11.
What a villain. Such menace.
Yes.
Such menace. Like Despot of Antrim's done a massive breakdown of Dredd, and he pointed out when Kay suggests, you know, they skin those guys who are selling drugs in their luck. You skin them, and she just says casually, "Skin them, throw them over the side." And Kay goes, "Want to dose them up with some slow-mo first?" And she goes, "Yeah." Like it's nothing to her. She just does not give a shit. Like the scenes where she's torturing the tech slave, you know, she's gouging his eyes out and all that, you know, I
even like that guy.
The pure, quality actor, right? Domhnall Gleeson, but the menace that she exudes as a villain, it just like, sorry, I'm cutting in. The Stallone Dredd characters are cartoons. They're cartoons compared to the urban film. You know, all of the characters and the arc, they all have, all the Dredd characters have arcs, including Dredd. And his arc can be summed up in 2 lines of dialogue, right? This is Dredd's arc at the beginning. You ready, rookie? You don't look ready. End of the film. You ready? You look ready.
You look ready.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. Also, he said, okay. Also, so for me, for his arc is, he's like, she fails. Like, what's she doing in a uniform? But then later, and I love Anderson, she might be my favorite character, where she's like, I already picked up the fail when I lost my primary weapon. It's like, until my assessment is over, I'm dealing out justice the way I see. And I just did it right now by letting this guy go.
Yep.
And then he goes, she's a pass, but she picked that she should have failed. There's no way Dredd would pass her if she lost the lawgiver. That's an auto fail, right? He said that in the beginning.
Because he's black and white. I mean, that's the whole thing with Judge Dredd. There's no gray with Judge Dredd. He is black or white. It's law or no law. You know,
right? And he gave her the pass, and that shows that he can bend a little bit and kind of just a little tiny bit.
Ever so much.
Just ever so much.
Do you think?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think though? Because someone pointed this out to me. None of these ideas I've got are mine. I stole them from someone else. Do you think though that part of that change comes because he has to fight the corrupt judges? So there's a realization in Dredd's mind. Anderson is a believer in the law. She's a believer in the cause. She's gonna be a good judge. I've just had to kill these 4 shitbags. Well, 3 of them. He's killed 3, kills 3 of them. Oh no, actually, Anderson kills 2 of them. He only kills 2. Anderson kills Lex.
Girl.
She kills Judge Kaplan.
Kills one, and then
the woman judge.
She kills the other one at the end. You're right.
Yeah.
No, wait for her to shoot you.
Yeah.
Well,
shoots Lex in the back.
Well, she shows resilience, and she shows endurance and cleverness.
Oh, she's a great character.
And that's why he gives her the pass over letter of the law.
Yeah.
And in the Stallone movie, his arc is, I knew you'd say that. And then at the end, she kisses him, and he kind of like half smiles. The kiss at the end, like
just wrong.
Right. For us Dredd fans of the comic, that destroys the movie. Right.
That was the Americanized ending that they felt like they had.
They did that with Doctor Who. Same thing with Doctor Who. It's like in the Doctor Who movie with the 8th Doctor, she kisses. Like, what's going on here? Why is that happening?
I mean,
That's weird.
The whole David Tennant, Matt Smith seasons where there's like a little bit of romance going on and that stuff.
That's weird.
That's for the Americans. And that
Well, Matt Smith doesn't. She likes Matt, but he doesn't like her back. But David Tennant splits into Smith, and then they go with Rose, which is weird. That's just weird.
Yeah. But still, I mean, there was like no.
You're
even as a kid watching that felt like it was forced, especially where they're like, well, we need a new chief justice. Of course, Judge Dredd's not going to be. He's a street judge.
Right.
He's going to take on the entire thing. He's not a politician, basically.
No.
Even at 13, 14, I'm like, that's bullshit. That's not going to fly.
You know who the best character in the movie was? Max von Sydow's nose hair. That thing, when they'd zoom in on his face and you saw that thing like trembling when he talked.
The problem is Blu-ray has killed a lot. Blu-ray has revealed many a nose hair.
Yes.
Schwarzenegger had a thing in his nose in Commando. I just was watching it again the other night, and they zoom in. I was like, no, there's something right there. You're like, get it out. Like,
oh, Commando. I saw Commando in his crappy Cineplex back in the 80s. It was like 4 little bunkers. It was the closest to a grindhouse as we had out here in suburbia. And when he was killing all those guys at the end, you didn't know it was the same guy with like different mustaches and beards and everything. You didn't see that.
Did you? Wait a minute. You blew this guy up like 5 times, right?
Okay. Yeah, it's like he's got a different hat. And he's got
right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Ross, which has the better character? So I'm done. You're done. Ross, which has the better characters?
Oh well, the Carl Urban one is better because it's streamlined. Everybody in there has an arc, whether it's just, the arc is being killed before the end of the movie. The Stallone one has a lot of fun characters, but like it's hard to get over the Rob Schneider Fergie character. First of all, because it's confusing to fans of the comic, because
Fergie.
Yeah, Fergie, King of the Big Smelly. That was a character in the a neurodivergent character in the comic book. And to have a character with that same name who's like a totally different function and personality type, that's rough. But even if that wasn't the case, Rob Schneider being Rob Schneider.
You didn't like Cursed Earth Pizza? You didn't like that part?
Oh yeah. I mean, every time I saw it in the theater when he did the Stallone voice when they're on the prisoners on the plane, everybody in the theater laughed. I mean,
because it is funny because he's making fun of Stallone more than he is.
He's like
Judge Dredd.
And he's like looking at him. He puts his hand up to cover us. He's like, "Hey, I knew. Well, I'm the law."
Mr. I am the law. Yeah, everybody laughs at that, but I mean, it's not absolutely terrible or necessarily a breaker, but it's like one of those things. There's too many characters. Do you even remember the guy who uses magic 1995 Photoshop to remove the pixels to show the picture that's underneath?
All the other judge.
Yeah.
It's
the
like
rookie.
I remember. Yeah.
I mean, that guy didn't have to be a character. Also, the way Judge Hershey's written, she's written as a cross between Judge Hershey and Judge Anderson, only without the psychic powers.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like, I mean, she's fine, and Diane Lane's certainly easy to look at, but
for sure,
especially in that uniform.
Yeah, she's great. So Christopher Lambert's a lucky guy. But the I'm gonna have to go with the Carl Urban one for character, but the Stallone one has a lot of fun stuff in it too.
All right, Charlie.
I'm gonna break the mold here. I have to go with the Stallone one, man, just because they're more iconic to me. They're more, and that's if you took out Mean and the Bray's going here, but Rico, okay, maybe I'd be a little bit more even, but you have these great characters that just jumped off of the screen for me, and I have read some Dredd comics that are about that outlandish as the Stallone one was. I mean, they do get a little out there, especially when you start talking about the mutants, the fatties and stuff like that are running around.
Boing.
Yeah. There's a Judge Fish. So, there are a lot of oddities when it comes to Judge Dredd. I like the characters as they've evolved in Dredd, but those are also some fantastic actors, with Lena Headey and, Carl Urban and Olivia. They really got into it, and they really kind of did their homework to get it, to do those roles. But if I'm just going just strictly off characters, it's Stallone's Judge Dredd. And I can ignore Fergie, even though there are some things I do like that he says, and I do laugh when he does it.
Some things that are good.
Yeah.
But the thing is too, like I respect what you're saying, and as a stepping stone to the comic book, like I wish they had gone farther with it. If they were going to go that far, they should have gone farther with it instead of stepping back. Because what they left everybody with was something kind of confusing. It was like,
well, I think what you guys said earlier is exactly what's wrong with it. Is they took so much that spanned so many different issues and put it in one movie. Hell, you might as well have had Judge Dredd saving the Earth from an alien invasion. There was that much stuff going on to it.
Yeah.
well,
Now,
and again, too, they should have had Judge Rico with the cybernetic stuff.
Yeah.
They could have gone,
Yeah,
or
we-
if you save that one for later and let that be a stinger at the end and let him just go against the Angel Gang or something. Just but there was too many things going on as far as arc of the story, which we've talked about, and I agree with you guys 100%, especially now knowing more about the lore, knowing more about the history of it, and I can see it, and going like, oh yeah, they really did just kind of pull everything around. They referenced everything they could. Remember the time they moved the Statue of Liberty and all the power went out and shit like that? There's a ton of stuff that just didn't need to even be in there.
No,
But
Ilsa didn't need to be in there. Ian Drury didn't need to be in there.
No.
The guy with the Photoshop didn't need to be in there.
There's definitely this is a Hollywood version of Judge Dredd, an American Hollywood version of Judge Dredd,
Hollywood
and they
pictures.
it's just they always get in their own way, but I think maybe they played it right though, as far as the American audience, like we've talked about. We can say it. I know I can say it, and Steve can say it. Americans are kind of stupid sometimes, and we like big blowy up things on the screen, and spectacles. I'm not worried about story arcs always, but now whenever I care, I want a story arc.
Yeah.
Stallone's Lawgiver had a double whammy setting.
Double whammy. Yeah, but Dredd had Hot Shot. Why not Signal Flare or something like that? And that's paying homage back to that whole thing with the Judge Dredd one.
Yeah.
Double whammy.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Joe. Hey, Judge Joe Dog. What's going on?
Hey, what's up?
Hey. All right. So before we do the enjoyment factor, I'll let Judge Joe Dog give a quick take on which one did you think had the better storyline out of the two movies? Just to get your score.
I think, in my opinion, Carl Urban's Dredd did a lot more better than Sylvester Stallone's Dredd. So, okay. Dredd is one of my top 10 favorite comic book films of all time. And what I liked about this is the costume. They got the comic accurate costume. The cities are really great. There's lots of shooting, blood, and everything like that. For Stallone, 1999 Dredd film is kind of like goofy. Nothing too special. It's just take off the mask. For Dredd, they just stay the costume. They just wore the costume all the way through the film. So that's just why, in my opinion, Dredd 2012 is pretty much better than the 1995 Judge Dredd film.
Okay, so you're given the final, so you just like it better in all categories. You thought it was much better.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now, did you see the Judge Dredd Stallone one in the theater when it came out in? Is it 95? What was it? When did that come out? 95. 95, yeah.
95 or 94, yeah, it was one of those.
Yeah, 95. Did you see it in the theater, or did you see it later on, like at home or something?
I saw it later because I wasn't born before this.
Okay, okay. So we're all yeah. So I see it's tough. Like we've got great perspective here because we got a younger guy. Charlie and I saw it in the theater without knowing anything, and RR and Ross and Judge Ross saw it knowing something. So we have this completely different spectrum of guys here. Yeah. Charlie and I are more aligned in the sense that we went to go see this. We like Stallone, so we went to go see it as a Stallone movie that was about a comic book character.
Right.
And we sat there, we're like, holy shit, why am I not reading Judge Dredd? why is this movie not doing better? Why isn't everyone dressing up as Judge Dredd for in Halloween next year? Like, what is happening here? This is the greatest thing of all time. I walked out, and me and my name is Jason. My other friend, his name is Jason. We've been friends since senior kindergarten. I'm 47, so we've been friends for like 40 years. I'm meeting him tomorrow. We play D&D every month. I still talk to him from 40 years ago. And we saw this together. We're like, holy shit, this is like, we've missed out on our lives. Like, why have we missed out on this character? And then as you learn more, you're like, ooh, this movie isn't really exact, but it's kind of still cool anyways, because it's Judge Dredd. And there was no other live action. Like, see, Batman, even Superman, it's very easy. It's like, oh yeah, there's like fucking 15, 20 Batman movies. And then you could sit here and say, well, I thought the Michael Keaton one was much better. And then, oh, no. Christian Bale is clearly the best Batman. And, so it's like, you've got all this. There's only 2 Judge Dredd movies. This Versus is only between 2 movies. And the timeline between them is decades.
And
this isn't like
flops.
Yeah, sorry?
Yeah.
Both were flops.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we're the only ones talking about Judge Dredd right now. I mean, it's
correct. Yeah.
I don't know about that. Judge Dredd maybe, but Dredd, the urban film, definitely has a cult following.
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean, to be fair, the Stallone movie worldwide almost was profitable.
Yeah.
I'm sure over the years between streaming and videos, it's probably made.
It's made money.
Profit.
All right, let's get the Wikipedia here. Let's ask our friend. Let's ask the ABC robot, or let's ask the So the Judge Dredd Stallone movie budget was 90 million. It made 113 million worldwide, so it did make some money. Carl Urban was 45. Carl Urban was 45 estimated, and it made 40, so it lost. It did lose.
Right, but there's like more streaming now and more.
Sure.
Eventually, that's the
DVD set. Yeah, you would think the home media market would have given the Carl Urban film a bit of a boost.
It came in just under the line as far as like when people could buy like the discs and everything. Yeah, I heard it did fine, and there was like that whole campaign to make a sequel. There was like
they did the whole campaign for the sequel. Then they were trying for the television show, the Mega City One.
And let me tell you, that's another bullet we dodged.
It wasn't going to be okay. Hold on. So let's finish this off. Let's officially finish it off. At this point in time, 3 categories out of 4. The Carl Urban one has won. We knew that was going to win anyways. But let's go for the enjoyment factor. The enjoyment factor could be any reasoning you want. You just be like, I like this movie better because of it. Doesn't. You don't even need to. You could just be like, I like this movie one better. So Joe Doug, you already kind of started. You already said that you just like the Urban one better anyways. So is there anything you want to add to your point, or are you satisfied with just saying it's the Urban one? That's it.
The best thing about the Carl Urban Dredd are the motorcycles. Those were awesome. I would love to ride one of those.
Yes, they are cool. Okay. Judge Ross, which one do you like better? There doesn't need to be anything brilliant. Just which one do you like better just because you like it better?
I think they both have their high points and their low points, and their things I love and things I'm a little disappointed of. I'm gonna say that at the time I saw that Stallone movie, I was with you guys on a lot of the stuff, like the spectacle, and there were, like you were saying, J-Dog, there were very, very few comic book movies at the time. So anything that had like 20 minutes in it that resembled the comic book, I was like happy. Right. So on that criteria, I'm going to say I like the Carl Urban movie better, but not by as much as you might think.
Okay. I'm going to say I like the Carl Urban movie better because I think it's a perfect 10 out of 10. It's one of the best comic book movies that's based on a comic book, not to represent the comic book. There's the is this a good movie? Is this a good representation of the source material? So there's always 2 things. Like I actually think that the Dark Knight, like the Heath Ledger film, I actually think is a very good movie. I actually don't think it's a great Batman movie. I think there's a lot of weirdness. There's no Batcave, right? It's not really the Joker in my opinion. It's just a guy who's calling himself Joker. Like It's a great movie when you watch the movie, you're like, well, that was a pretty good movie. I do think it's too long, but I think it was a very good movie, but I don't think it's a great interpretation of Batman. If I'm being honest, I think Batman Begins is a better Batman movie than Dark Knight is a better Batman movie. But the Carl Urban movie is a 10 out of 10 movie. As a movie, it's a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. It's awesome. As a representation of Judge Dredd,
Dick Grayson as Robin.
yeah, I mean, yeah, like I like Robin, but they're not. That's I'm just never going to see that character again. Dick Grayson, Burt Ward is the last Robin I'm ever going to see, which is fine because he's a 10 out of 10. He Christopher Reeve is number 1. Number 2 best casting is Burt Ward as Robin. But the Carl Urban movie is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece movie. And I think it's a pretty damn good representation of Judge Dredd. It's not a perfect representation of Judge Dredd, but it's pretty damn good that I would say, yeah, it's really good. It's like, so for me, it's that one.
I'm going to add another category, if I may.
Sure.
So which of the 2 movies would you recommend to somebody who doesn't really know that much about the comic book
Yeah, that's
in
a
the
tough
year
question.
2025 that won't embarrass the source material or
I'd
you
say Urban.
recommending the movie?
I'd have to say the Carl Urban movie because ultimately you got to go with what is the better movie for a generic person who doesn't know anything, because it's like Doctor Who.
Right.
So am I going to say, listen, my favorite doctor is John Pertwee. I want you to go back to Spearhead from Space. And they're going to be like, this is boring and long and I don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. So what I would say is watch The 11th Hour, which is the first Matt Smith intro to the 11th Doctor. Yes. No. But no, it's even Claudia agreed.
City of Death.
No, hold on. Okay, well, sure. City of Death is awesome.
City of Death.
Gateway
Doctor Who, City of Death.
No. The 11th Hour is the best, and Claudia agreed. You can't. When Claudia and I are aligned, it's impossible. You can't win. we Claudia and I discussed this ad nauseum, and we came up with the same answers. The 11th Hour, because it introduces what the Doctor is. It's a good first episode of just general. You don't need to know too much. It introduces the concept. It shows all the other Doctors. It explains that he's the 11th incarnation of this, and there is only 12 incarnations. Sorry. There's only 12. Okay, there's more, but I'm pretending there's only 12.
No, there's not.
No, there's not any more than 12. He only had 12 regenerations, and the War Doctor counted. So that's it.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
The 11th Hour, and then watch a few of those. If you like it, go back. I started with the 9th Doctor. I started with Rose, and then we went back and watched all of Doctor Who from John Pertwee on, and then I went back and watched 1 and 2, and I bought it all. And we're recycling them again. Today we watched Pete Davison. So that's
okay.
Go ahead.
You've got to admit though that the single most Doctor Who moment of the entire series is in Genesis of the Daleks.
I said Genesis before you finished talking. Yeah. So obviously
do I have the right? That is the quintessential Doctor Who moment. Do I have the right?
And see, before you even finished talking, I said Genesis because I knew. Yeah. Claudia and I also discussed that topic. Yes, Genesis, guarantee. Hey, DJ, thank you so much for coming in. Yeah, Genesis of the Daleks holding the 2 things to blow up the Daleks, to stop it all from happening. Do I have the right? It actually gets me emotional. Like I'm getting emotional just thinking about how bloody awesome that was. And
genius.
It's genius. I'm getting goosebumps. Yeah, it's genius. That is why Doctor
sells it. Baker sells it.
He sells
1,000%.
And Sarah Jane is like, what are you doing? Like, do it. Like, you're crazy. And he's like, do I have the right to do this? Because even with the Daleks evil, so many nations came together, alliances forged, friendships, things happen. It's like, you can't go back. It's the go back and kill baby H, baby H before he's, I mean, what is that going to change in the world that maybe something worse will happen, right? Anyways, it's going to. I can't. Yeah, that's a genius.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. No,
welcome to our Doctor Who stream.
We're welcome to Doctor. I can do one every day, all day.
Peter Cushing.
I love Peter Cushing. As actually Doctor Who, his name is Who. I'm like.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of these. Sorry. It's
okay, Charlie. You're only 35 seasons behind.
I know, right? I'm just like, I'm this far back. I don't I'm not worried about
yeah. I've seen it all, even the shitty new ones. So all right.
it doesn't end well, so don't worry.
It doesn't end well. No, stop that, Peter Capaldi.
Yeah,
Okay, RR, which one do you like better? I guess I'm gonna guess it's
yeah.
the urban.
It's the urban one. I will say one thing, and I think Charlie actually hits on it. Charlie or Ross hit on this earlier. Okay, the urban film is a great film, period. It's a great action film, period, right? It's just great. It's the characterization of Dredd is perfect. It captures the essence of Dredd as a character. Perfect, right? So it's the better film. I'd recommend it. But one thing that the Stallone film does capture is the degree of the absurdity that's presented in Judge Dredd. There are some bizarre, wacko out there stories in Judge Dredd that are really whimsical and just nuts. There's this one I read the other day on a trade paperback. Dredd takes this rookie out an assessment, right? And the rookie handcuffs this perp to a railing and then goes off to do something else. People come along, they steal his wallet. Some other people come along, they steal his clothes. Someone else comes along, steals his teeth. And then some organ sharkers come along at the end, cut his arm off and steal him. And Dredd and the rookie go back, and the rookie's like, "Oh, I just left him here. I failed, haven't I?" And Dredd's like, "Yeah, rookie, you failed in style." But like there's the crazy stuff that happened in the Dredd comics, the really out there stuff, and the sense of humor that was with that. Quite dark, but a sense of humor and absurdity. The urban movie doesn't have that, right? There is a grim humor to it, but not the absurdity of the stuff you would get in a lot of the Judge Dredd comics. Like the Dark Judges are really bizarre things. So that's one thing that's missing in representation of the comics. But as a film, yeah, urban all the way.
Yeah. Ross, what are you gonna?
Yeah, like what R was saying, it's the price of being streamlined and linear and having no fat, like the Carl Urban movie, is you lose a lot of what made the comic book so wonderful. But a lot of what made the comic book so wonderful isn't going to play to international audiences or American audiences, which is very sad. So, which is why a lot of people were hoping for the TV show, but the showrunner from the TV show has been writing for the comic and he's been garbage. So I don't think it would have been a great TV show. So overall, Carl Urban, but you know, if I want to watch Judge Dredd on my own on a rainy day or with a fan, we'll sit there and have our bad movie night with the Stallone movie.
Charlie, did you answer? No, you okay? So you got okay. Because I start to because I got everyone's initials and then I added Joe Dog and there's too many J's and R's. Because I'm a J, Joe Dog's a J, and then I had RR and I had Ross. I was like, okay, hold on a second. I'm like, I'm missing a CH here. So it's like, Charlie, which one do you think is better?
That we're gonna come back to where I started this with story there is not one I enjoy more than the other because I can watch either one at any given time. I can watch them back to back. I can watch them in any order. It doesn't matter. I love both of them because you're right. Dredd is a 10 out of 10 action movie. Judge Dredd, everything. But damn it, I love Judge Dredd with Stallone. I just have so much fun with it. I have a shit ton of nostalgia with it. It introduced me to one of my favorite characters. You know, the other tattoo I have on my arm is RoboCop, which was influenced by Judge Dredd. I mean, it's just, it's part of me. So this is one I'm going to call a special option. Both are equal enjoyment for me. And it's like asking me who's my favorite kid. It's both of them. I love them both equally.
Yeah, so if I was to do, I was doing my own space system ranking, I'd give the Stallone movie an 8 out of 10, just because everything gets a 1.5 and the artistry gets a 2 because I just love everything. So it would get an 8 out of 10 on my critical analysis of a movie because it is fun. Look, it's a Stallone movie. It's fun. And there's too many things in it. I also love the Dick Tracy movie. I saw Dick Tracy in the theater. Same thing. Too many characters. Now, Dick Tracy, I did know about beforehand because I'd watched serials. I watched the black and white.
Yeah, that was introduced to us because it's American. So yeah, we grew up.
Right. Yeah. So when everyone's getting killed, you're like, what the shit? Everyone's just getting smoked in this movie. What the hell's going on? And that was weird to me. And I'm like, Yeah, but am I ever going to see a Dick Tracy movie that's a comic book come to life? And like, it's not like, again, it's very easy with Batman. Yeah, there's 14 Batman movies or 15 or 20 Batman movies, and it's very easy to say, well, we're at the point where we can rank the Jokers.
Yeah.
We're at a point where we can rank Penguin. Like, we can rank Penguin actors.
But the
like,
other thing you have to look at is I can go into any comic book store and get any version of Batman I feel like I want to read.
Yes.
Judge Dredd, especially when, Stallone's came out, it wasn't there because I looked.
Yeah.
I found it secondhand and in other like dollar boxes. It's funny, the one comic I have, there's a scene in Hackers where they're going in to get Joey, and he's up on top of his bunk reading a comic. It's a Judge Dredd comic.
Oh my God.
One I have.
Wow.
I had that issue. And so
Nice.
I've always loved Hackers, but I was like, he has the same comic I have. And I read that thing over and over and over again because it's all I had until I got, where I could venture out further and drive and go to all these other comic places and shows and go like, oh, there's one. But again, it was like hen's teeth. It was, oh, there's a guy that has one. There's a guy that maybe has 2 or 3. It wasn't until a couple years ago, a buddy of mine was selling his entire collection. He sent me a spreadsheet and I went, fuck this. What do you got on Judge Dredd? He goes, oh, you just want that? Sends me what it was, gave me a price. I'm like, I'm buying them all. Just put them all in a box and I got them all.
The had it not been for my pen pal overseas, I wouldn't have the collection that I have now. Because they're so hard to find. And then in the Stallone movie, when the comics are appearing on screen, I just leaned over to my friends and I said, before you ask, all of them.
Yeah.
Before you ask
also,
how many of them I have.
Nice.
All of those.
One of the more popular stories about even bringing Judge Dredd to America was Anthrax. Anthrax was overseas, found the comics, and we're reading about it, and like, this guy's badass. Why does no one in America even know about it? And then they did I Am the Law, fucking fantastic, song. But that was like some people's first like ever hearing of Judge Dredd was like, who are they singing about? This guy sounds amazing. And Anthrax introduced America to Judge Dredd for the most part.
If you ever see the music video for Shriekback's Nemesis the Warlock is in the video.
Nice.
Wow.
They built like the head. He's only in it for a few seconds.
Right.
They use that shot a few times. But he's in it.
Nah, it's
all right.
Well, I wish more people loved him like we do, man. We'd be a lot better off if everyone could appreciate Judge Dredd like us.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, because everyone came out. It's like, see, my thing is that like I definitely like supporting stuff when I can, if I'm able to. And if it's good, if it's interesting. And like a lot of people were turned off by going to see the new Dredd movie in the theater. There was hardly anyone in the theater when I saw Dredd, and I saw it like Sean, Steven, and I go first opening night, 7 p.m. or whatever it is. And usually movies now open. They used to do Friday. Now they do Thursday evening pre-opening night. So we would see it then. And there's like nobody, what I mean? And you're like, and I'm thinking, dude, like, why isn't anyone here? Oh, maybe they didn't like the Stallone one or they don't know. And the thing is, people found it afterwards. But the problem is that it came out in kind of a weird time, because finding out about it afterwards wasn't like the old days, because you find out stuff afterwards and you'd rent it 100 times and you'd buy it. Right. I remember going to rent like Army of Darkness or something. I rented Army of Darkness like 8 or 9 times. And then finally it's like, oh, it's coming out on VHS. And then, to mass retail.
Because it would go rental first for months and then it would come out.
It'd be like a year.
That would go to the box office. Now it's like a movie comes out and it's streaming before it's out of the theater.
Yeah, like I mean, I saw Craven. I had my heart attack at Craven. I went, got my surgery, came back home, and like, oh, I can watch Craven right now.
Yeah,
like I could. Right? It's like, why did I even go to the theater?
Watch, not for your heart. It's not good.
No, that comes down to like the studio again didn't know what to do with the Dredd movie. You're right. I think it came out in like fall. Like it was a really off time for even movies to be out, and they weren't pushing it. They weren't promoting it. you know, it's like you should have went after. There was a lot of guys I knew that liked Judge Dredd that went. They did another movie. Like, yeah, they did a Carl.
A lot of
like
people thought.
Yeah,
A lot of
marketed
people thought
very,
it was
very
a
badly.
sequel. Yeah, a lot of people thought it was a sequel, or that would be just like the Stallone movie, and then
Yeah.
it was like it came out in the middle of when the MCU was like at its peak. So
Yeah, Avengers.
It's
Avengers
like-
come out that year.
yeah, so comic book movies are like this now, not like Dredd,
Yeah.
which is
And
just
Dark
kind
Knight
of-
Rises.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This felt
Yeah.
very much like it's a great movie, and the people that got to do it was right. But the studio's looking at it like, well, we have to pump out a movie because we want to keep the rights for some
right.
whatever reason.
Mm.
And sometimes those are great movies. Other times you get like a Hellraiser that has nothing to do with the Hellraiser stories, you know, because
Right.
it was famous for. We need to keep the Hellraiser rights.
Yeah.
What scripts we got floating around? There's literally a noir one that was never written to be a
Yeah. Oh,
Hellraiser
they did that. They
story.
did that with basically Inferno and on.
And they did it with
Yeah.
those, and it was just like throw the Cenobites in there. We don't give a shit where.
Yeah.
And
throw
it
them
was
in
just
there.
to
The
keep-
Banana Splits movie.
Yeah, it was just to keep the rights, and I feel like that's
Constantine.
what they were doing.
Yep.
Constantine
I
would be
actually
another
like-
big one.
Fantastic Four.
But
I like the Keanu Reeves one.
Yeah, I do too.
It's not.
best-
Yeah, but it's not
Best,
Constantine. Right?
it's
That's-
not,
No,
but
it's
it's
not.
the best interpretation of Satan in a movie.
He
Yeah.
looked-
Oh yeah.
Peter
Yeah.
Stormare. Oh
Yeah,
my
he is
god,
cool.
I fucking
Yeah.
love that dude in that.
Well, I like the Dredd movie. I like Dredd better than any MCU movie. Like, I think it's better than any of the MCU movies, in my opinion.
I
It-
mean,
like, and I
Well,
love
Winter Soldier
I'm more
comes
involved.
close. I would.
Winter Soldier is really good.
Winter
I like
Soldier-
Dredd
I
better.
love Ragnarok so much.
Yeah,
though,
speaking
man.
of Dredd,
Yeah.
did you guys see the Daredevil Born Again trailer? I thought the trailer
Yeah,
was
looks all right.
Yeah, I mean, what Disney will screw it up. There's, I can guarantee you, it's going to be weird or something. It's whatever. We'll see.
Hey, man,
They already
Nick
did
is
the-
making a monk vow to never get hyped for another Disney.
Yeah, I'm not
project
getting hyped for
ever
any-
again.
Yeah.
Here's how Daredevil's going to work. You're going to get all
Yeah.
excited. There'll be 3 episodes. The 3 episodes that they send out to the reviewers, they'll be like, "It's cool. It's like the Netflix thing." Episode 4, Echo takes over.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Echo series.
Yeah, listen, I
I
guarantee.
didn't even watch Echo.
I didn't watch that either. And then there's people pretending Skeleton Crew isn't bad either. Stop it. We need to stop this. It's
It came out and said it's the lowest
of course it is.
rated and
Yeah.
watched series in the history of all the ones they've put out.
Because
You
if,
know-
if you shoot the franchise in the head like they did with the Acolyte, then everything that comes after is going to be the body running around like a chicken with its head. cut.
Right. But
I'll
you know,
say this, here I can defeat their argument to us where they go,
Okay.
well, it's not for you guys. It's not for you guys. My youngest son, who's 12 years old, they've been out of school since Christmas because of weather.
Mhm.
okay.
He has had every Star Wars movie playing, the prequels, the original trilogy, not so much, the sequels,
Mhm.
which I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, that's good. He
That's
has been,
good
it's
content.
almost been on repeat. I asked him the other day, I was like, we want to try Skeleton Crew. And he goes, nah, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, Charlie. I'm glad you said
Marketing
that.
to doesn't even want to watch it.
No, no. But for okay. Oh, well, it's for kids. Listen, there's only 2 movies, adults and anyone else. This kids thing, there's little kids movies like
Like
Barney.
Disney Stores is for kids.
They keep saying Star Wars is like Skeleton Crew. This is for little kids. You know what I was watching as a little kid? Star Wars, the normal one, 1977 Star Wars.
Flash
I wasn't
Same.
watching.
like
I
all
wasn't
that
wa-
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't watching a little kiddie version of it. Well, and I keep saying it's a kiddie version, but what are you talking about kiddie version? Like, this isn't a thing. There's little kid shows like Mr. Dress Up or Barney or Teletubbies or like little baby shows for little babies or Sesame Street. Then there's everything else. Like, I was watching Temple of Doom when I was a kid. Well, what do you mean this is for kids? Oh, you mean like Temple of Doom? No, that's not for kids. Well, that's what I was watching as a kid. Same with comic books. They keep saying it's for little kids. You know what kids were reading when they were kids? They're reading normal Spider-Man or Ghost Rider. Like, when I was a kid, I was reading Ghost Rider and Wolverine. And, what little kid comics were you reading? I wasn't reading like what baby? Like, I like Family Circus because it's a cute little cartoon strip. I've got tons of Family Circus books.
Yeah.
As a little kid, I liked Family Circus because it was cute. Then I graduated to Ghost Rider. Like,
Well,
But even
more
my
of a-
kids aren't reading comics, though. Sorry.
But they're playing video. But my point is that they're saying this is for little kids. But your kid, okay, so your son is 12. Yeah, but he's playing games that they're thinking are for adults, but they're not because kids play that. It's like
no,
he's watching the real Star Wars movies. He's not watching
Exactly.
kiddie version Star Wars movies. He's watching
not
Empire Strikes Back.
He's not watching Jedi babies, you know.
Well,
Right,
like there's what's that new show with the Young Jedi Academy or something like that?
Skeleton Crew, or is there?
No,
another?
no,
there's an
there was.
even
I know
younger
what you're
thing
talking
that
about.
they
There's
got- It's an animated thing where the characters have like big heads and
the little
like-
kid one
Forgot about
because
that.
of
Young
how
Jedi.
popular Grogu and
Pass.
stuff was.
here's the thing, like since then things have become much more compartmentalized for marketing. So there's like the instead of like 4 kids, you know, like once you hit 10 years old you're basically an adult, so you can watch
Right.
Star Wars, you can watch Alien, you can go see Roger Corman rip-offs of Star Wars,
Yep.
whatever. But like now it's kind of like there's the 0 to 2 tier, and then there's the 3 to 5 tier, and then there's the 5 to 10 tier, and then there's like this tween tier, and then there's like a young adult tier. So and then the pool is very wide. Like there's a lot of stuff in each one of these tiers now because there's like more of everything. Like my crazy ex's kids, they were talking like big, like they had seen Star Wars, like, oh yeah, I know what a Jedi is, blah 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 blah. And then the more I talk to them, the more I'm like, have you ever actually seen these movies? And they're like, oh well, we played the video game, so we know who Jabba the Hutt is and all that. And I said, no, you're coming over to my place 6 nights in a row. We're going to watch each of the Star Wars movies, and you're going to see what everything actually is played out.
Right.
So, and then it was fun because like I had to like pause it and go like, do you guys know what a bounty hunter is? And they're like, no, I don't know what those 2 words mean together. I'm like, oh, well, let me tell you. So it's fun for me too, because like a lot of the stuff you just assume. It's like, oh yeah, these kids look like
because we consumed it in other things. We knew what a bounty hunter was and stuff. Now it's like
we were watching
telling kids
old-timey-
these simple things, and you're like, wait, you don't know what the fuck that is?
Well, we were
It's like-
watching like old timey westerns on TV too, so you knew what a bounty hunter was.
We're watching
Now-
TV shows that had bounty hunters
Yeah,
in
now
it. You
no
know,
kid is watching anything that has
The
a bounty
Fall
hunter.
Guy.
I was gonna say Fall Guy is a
Fall
bounty
Guy.
hunter.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
Okay, for 2 comic book heroes, I know you said that Batman will win against Spider-Man. Who would win? Spider-Man or Batman? But, for me, in my opinion, I'd say Spider-Man because, okay, Spider-Man has spider senses. He's strong. He has more agile. He could just beat Batman in a legitimate second because Batman has no powers.
Batman, except for Superman, Batman beats everyone.
With enough planning, he can beat everyone.
Because he'll play. He's Batman. That's the rule. So Clobby and I would joke over the Batman rule. It's like, how is he able to do that? Because he's Batman. That's it. Like,
Yeah.
he's Batman. He can.
Well,
He can
Batman
beat it.
preparation can take on Superman in just a second.
He takes on Superman as well, but Superman never tries hard against Batman. That's the trick of it.
That's a big difference.
That's the difference. The thing with Batman is that this weekend I read Dark Knight Strikes Again. I read Hush. And I read, because Hush 2 is coming out in a few months. And then I read All-Star Batman and Robin. And I read the first volume of the Bat manga. It was a Batman weekend. It's very interesting. But anyways, the thing is that Batman is the most versatile character. I'm the most free with Batman. Superman's my favorite character of all time, is my favorite thing. But Superman needs to punch forward or punch up. Batman's the only guy that can punch down or whatever or up, and it's okay. He can solve petty crimes.
Yeah.
He can fight bigger problems like mystical things or aliens or whatever. If you write a bad Batman story, you failed miserably as a writer because he's the easiest guy. You can have him fight aliens. You can have him go into Atlantis with gear and help Aquaman. You can have him.
If you can't fight a purse snatcher with a really good storyline and be just as entertaining as fighting aliens.
Fight Judge Dredd.
He had fight Judge Dredd. Wonder Woman and Superman are very difficult. Superman, you need to have an interesting adversary, either as powerful or something really out there and weird sci-fi-ish, Same with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman shouldn't be fighting generic people. Like, it needs to be something cool. But Batman is very versatile. Even Doctor Who, the Doctor you could literally take any comic book story and just put the Doctor, take out the superhero, put the Doctor in it, and just reformat it. Like Hush, I just read Hush again, and I was like, this could be Doctor Who. All you got to do is you remove Batman, you put Doctor Who in, and then some new alien finds all of the Doctor's old adversaries and makes them change their MO in order to trip them up. I'm like, you got Doctor Who story, a great Doctor, and it's like a new baddie. Right? It's like Batman is very versatile, which makes him easy. Like everyone always says, well, Batman will win because it's just easy to envision him winning because he's done so many different kinds of things. Like I'm watching Adam West Batman, I'm reading Hush, I'm reading Dark Knight Strikes Again, and it all in the same like week, and it's all working for me. Like,
did they ever reveal Spider-Man's mother's name being Martha?
No, I don't think her name is
That's
Martha.
how he beats Batman.
No, stop it. I love Spider-Man. I have a tattoo of Spider-Man next to Batman. So, or no, I got Spider-Man's on this side. So I love both characters, but you know, Batman's my second. Batman and Wonder Woman are like my second, third favorite. See, I don't know.
Yeah, because Aunt May is scared of Spider-Man, and Aunt May does not need to know what Spider-Man really is because Peter does not want to know everybody what Spider-Man's identity means. So
right. All right, guys. Anything? So Ross, what do you got going on? Anything to plug away?
Yes. I've got the new issue or the fourth issue of Your, which this is the first one.
Yeah.
But the fourth issue of Your should be coming out, and then I'm going to go back and correct all my mistakes that somehow got printed in that, and we're going to collect it for a trade paperback coming out in March.
And I will be getting the trade paperback since I got issue 1 and it cost me like $40 or something. So I'm just going to wait for the trade.
Bro, we're all friends here, so anybody who wants to send me an email or somehow contact me online, I'll send you all 4 issues, digital copies. And then, and same goes for this. This is the script written by Luigi Cozzi, who wrote and directed Star Crash. It's like basically a new Star Crash story as a screenplay by him and me. But we had to change the name of the character to Luna, from Stella Star to Luna Diamond, and change the look of the character from Carolyn Monroe to Ornella Muti from Princess Aura from Flash Gordon. I know. And then I got a top secret Carolyn Monroe project that's not that big a secret that I'm working on, but I'm finally going to finish that up too.
Awesome. Well, that book I've got that. Well, actually, the 2 that you showed, I have both the ones that you showed because I have Your issue 1.
I really, really appreciate it. Also, J-Man, I got my 2 shirts from Bearded.
Oh, beautiful.
They forgot to send me I ordered 2 copies of the Micronaut shirt, so they forgot to send me the second one. I have to
so email Eddie and tell him that
it's been a while. I hope he believes me.
No, he'll believe you, and you can say it's like you're just say you're Jay's friend. Although he's been dealing with a lot of stuff too recently because I messaged him and he just got back to me today. I was like, okay, what's going on? Because I got to start doing the a couple more giveaways and all that. So, anyways,
if he takes forever to get, if he gets back to me, eventually that's cool. I understand. So,
yeah, and like it takes forever for it to come to me too. Like it's like this Canada Post strike has just been murder. I told you I'm 3 behind on Megs. I ordered a trip, Enterprise trip. I ordered a trip autograph for my wife, and it's like 2 months away or something. I ordered the Rob Liefeld Cabot and Battlestone figure, or Blood Wolf and Cabot figure signed. Who knows when I'm getting those? And I'm waiting on. I did order the Dark Knight Strikes Again PVC set sealed, so I'm waiting for that. Can't wait to get that, and then annoy everybody that hates that book and be like, "Look at what I got." I do. My wife pointed this out. She might be right. If I like something and everyone hates it, I end up liking it more. And she's like, it's just something
contrarian.
About yeah, I'm a contrarian. I am a contrarian.
He's a contrarian.
I'm a contrarian.
Thundar the contrarian.
I don't know why that is. It just, and then if people love something that I hate, it makes me hate it even more too. It's like it's just like like I hate that Wicked made so much money. It just pisses me off even more. It's like,
I saw Wicked.
I just can't. Like, I hate the books. I don't hate the musical. The musical is based on the books, and I can't stand the books. I don't like when someone tries to rewrite something. It's like, why don't you make up your own story if you're so good? What's the point of going back to Wizard of Oz and trying to redo it and do your little spin on it? It's like, or I got this idea, write up an original story. Oh, you can't write an original story? Oh, okay, you can't. So that's like me taking Harry Potter now. I'll pick some characters from Harry Potter and make them into morons and write a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And then
Too late.
Right. Well, I don't know. Did they have they already done it?
Most of them are morons.
Okay. Well,
so
you know I'm saying.
My coworkers told me about
Yeah,
this
we
website called Archive of Our Own, where the fan fiction is that's the biggest fan fiction site. So I looked at it, and it's like, how many reads do some of these, and like some of the Harry Potter fan fiction gets more reads than like published books. It's like, you could be, it doesn't make you any money, but you could be like far more read than a best-selling author.
You get some name recognition out of it, at least,
Yeah. And apparently some of it's really good too. I mean, some of those writers go on to be like authors of real stuff. But I
didn't read any. I haven't read Harry Potter. I'm reading. Gotta finish this before that show comes out.
Well, you read manly stuff.
Yeah, so I'm halfway through.
So I was going to say, J-Man,
Michael Moorcock.
Must be nice to have a disposable income, bro. Because some of my coworkers, the fires are like just across the freeway from where I live, and some of my coworkers lost their home. So I'm like, how much can I spare to donate to their GoFundMes? And how many friends do I have that I really need to be donating to? So, yeah. If I stand out in front of my porch, I can see it just over on the other side of the building that's across.
Do they have any % contained of it yet?
I heard it was up. Well, where I am, it's like different fires in different places.
Right.
But where I am, I heard it was like 60 yesterday. I didn't see what it was this morning. The skies are much bluer now, so I'm going to take that as
that's a good sign.
Improvement and a good sign, because you couldn't see the mountains for most of last week.
A friend of mine lost his in the Palisades. Like it's gone.
Yeah,
didn't realize how many people I even knew that were over there, like in that one spot. And I'm like, just like you were like, because I donated to my buddy Dustin. And then I was like, there's like 5 or 6 other people I know that lost their fucking houses. And I feel bad that I don't have more to share out, and help them. But it's nuts, man.
I'm going to have to like slice it into like $20 things and kind of judge like how long have I heard from you, because some of these people it's like, well, I haven't heard from you in like 2 or 3 years, but
exactly.
Okay. RR, do you got any? You don't really do any streaming or anything, right?
No, not really a YouTuber. I just enjoy nerdy things.
All right.
I enjoyed talking to you and meeting you. All right.
It's lovely to meet you guys too. The only stuff on my channel is not most of the stuff on my channel is not in English, so yeah. But have a look, like, share, and subscribe.
Well, what language is it in? Is it in New Zealand?
It's in Welsh. No, it's in Welsh.
Okay.
We're gonna do the Doctor Who. We're gonna do the Doctor Who stream, and I gotta post. I just watched Arc of Infinity today, so I gotta post the review of that.
Ooh.
I like Arc of Infinity. That's a good one.
It's good.
But all right, Joe Dog, are you doing videos again, or you're kind of like on and off, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on and off. But check out some of my couple of videos. That's probably much about it.
Okay. Charlie, what do you guys? Yeah, I know the podcast. What you got? What's coming up? What's coming up this week?
So this week we just did my birthday pick for the action side for Total Recall, because I absolutely love that. And then next week is my birthday horror pick, and we're doing Chopping Mall. Both are movies I watched way too young. That's the theme I went with on those. And then on the B Action podcast, that's also on that channel, we did Rolling Vengeance, which I had never seen, and I don't know how, but a giant monster truck, basically, as a vigilante going around taking out this bad gang. And then we rounded it out with Robot Jocks, which is an absolute childhood favorite of mine. I can watch that movie anytime. So, yep, just always, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, everywhere. We got the podcast coming out.
What are some of your favorite B movies, Charlie? Just out of curiosity.
Some of my favorite
Give
B movies.
Give me a top 10. You can categorize them like
that's like impossible.
I was gonna say like action or horror because it's
both.
Where I get to both. Oh my god, dude!
Just like a top 5, top 10. Do the high.
Well, anything like top 5 in horror. Like at least some of them have like Puppet Master 2 in that one.
That's only because of Torch, right? Because clearly Puppet Master 3 is the best.
I fucking love Torch, dude.
I know. See, you know how I knew it was. You know how I knew it was Torch, because he's not in part 1, and he's not in part 3, and you picked part 2, which is clearly not better than part 3, except for one reason, and that's because Torch is the damn best, and Torch isn't in part 3, but they got 6-shooter in 3. So that's I'm the Sherlock Holmes of nerdiness.
Oh, it's totally
I can deduce.
Wow.
I'm like, it's because of Torch.
You are. No argument there.
Jackie got me one of those
I've got
6-inch
Torch.
vinyl.
I got Torch. Yeah.
Nate got the life size from Full Moon of Torch
Oh,
that they had on the
wow.
website.
Wow.
I should have bought it when it was on sale.
My buddy ran a comic book store, and he would order the pallets of like discount stuff, the damaged extras, and he got like a whole bunch of those Full Moon toys, and it's my great regret that I didn't take advantage of.
I know. I love them.
I've got every figure that was in the first wave of the first toys. I've got them all.
Yeah.
I got every figure that they
and
released.
NECA did another re-release of them not too long ago, so you can get like the 2-packs of them that look like they're in the cure.
They're in the case. Yeah, they're in the case.
They're very awesome. Dude, I don't know. I'm like racking my brain of like at what I would call B movies, but I'm also the guy that
when I say action movies, they got to be B action movies.
Oh, B action movies. Like right now, I started the B action podcast with my favorite, and that was Fortress with Christopher Lambert, and then we followed it up with Steel Frontier with Joe Laura, and I absolutely love those movies. But I'm also a mark for anything with the name Steel in the name, like Hands of Steel, Steel Dawn. Steel Dawn. Why is everyone sleeping on that Swayze movie? Okay.
Yeah, that's an awesome movie. What are you talking about?
Movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything post-apocalyptic that's I love Mad Max, but there are some
Real Steel.
Yep, dude.
Yep.
I what do I have? I got Steel Justice with the guy from Cobra Kai. I can't think of his name right now.
Like
but
Johnny?
The sensei, Kreese.
Martin Cove.
Martin Cove.
I've got Steel Justice with Martin Cove up there.
You know who I saw Martin Cove at one of the L. Ron Hubbard Pulp Fiction readings.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I'd love to meet him. He is insane. We watched what was that? Shadow Warriors, which is basically the Hulk Hogan action movies they tried to do, and he is in those. And the last one they did, Shadow Warriors, he is a fucking trip, and I love it. He's shooting rocket launchers out of a helicopter while humming Flight of the Valkyries the entire time with a cigar in his mouth. I'm like, that's my kind of B action right there. Is I love the insanity, Reb Brown, movies like that.
You mean my close personal friend Reb Brown? No.
Our close personal friend Reb Brown. Hey, he shares our shit.
He shares everything I send. That's for sure.
He'll actually respond to you if you message him. I mean,
he does respond. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean, B movies like they're like
typical choices. I like it.
Well, it's like I'm when it comes to say like Jason movies aren't a B movie, but I love Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah,
I like the bad ones. I love Freddy's Dead. I go.
Oh, that's a bad one.
No, I love the video game.
I can't. I was with you until that one.
I love everything about it. It's got Roseanne and Tom Arnold in it, man. Come on, dear. It is fucking hilarious.
You did not see that in the theater, I'm assuming.
I did not. No.
See, I knew that because if you did, you would be saying this.
My first horror movie in the theater wasn't until I was well in my teenagers, and it was H2O. Was the first horror movie I ever watched in theaters.
Okay, so I'm having an old man brain fart. I was going to recommend one, but you probably know it and I've already seen it. It's a PM Entertainment movie.
I love PM.
There was the first word was, I believe it's extreme, and they made one with a dude with long hair. That's the first one, but it has nothing to do with the second one, which is the one I would recommend, which basically plays like a Cynthia Rothrock movie, except it's not Cynthia Rothrock. It's the girl who is in Ghoulies 4.
Okay.
Stacy something. And it's like I remember the first things and parts of all of it, but it's like I had the movie on VHS tape.
No, you're talking about Excessive Force.
Excessive Force 2.
Oh, we just did those.
We just
Force
did a
2.
stream on those, buddy.
Yeah,
Really?
and you're right. Part 2 is fucking amazing.
It's awesome. Yeah.
When
I
they're
love
in that
part
police
2.
office and they just start blowing
So-
shit up.
Yeah, because it's
Damn.
Thomas Ian Griffith in
It's
the
almost-
first
yeah.
one, which
Yeah.
is a great, gritty, like noir action film. Yeah,
Yeah.
J-Man and I just did these with the Action Elite.
It wasn't on my channel, Steve.
No, we did it
was,
on.
It was
Yeah,
on the
that's on
Action
Owens.
Elite. So you gotta check out Action
I
Elite because
subscribed to Action Elite, but I missed that one somehow.
yeah. So it may have been before. It may have been before we knew each other, but I'm not sure. Check.
No,
Go
I
back
thought
and
we
check
had
it out.
done-
It should be there.
We'd
was-
done one stream with Steve before we did the Extreme
Yeah.
Prejudice one, but not before we started doing these.
Yeah.
There's another one called King of the Kickboxers 2.
I'll love it. We love
Yeah,
it. We love
King of
it.
the
Which is
Kickboxer movie.
basically a police academy movie with Shaolin priests.
Yeah, it's
Well, you
it's-
also, if you put Matthias Hughes in any movie, I am going to watch it as well.
yeah. That one we
Who I am also, at least on talking terms, on X and Instagram with. He will
Hell yeah.
reshare all of my stuff.
nice.
My own I Come in Peace Bounty Hunter. Yeah, no, I
Oh,
absolutely
bro,
love
I
that
saw
stuff.
it come in peace in the theater. That was
Wow.
what started my Dolph love.
I
Wow.
wish I could have seen
I would
that
argue
movie.
that
I love it.
if they were to make the middle of the road Judge Dredd movie that combined the best of the Stallone movie on a lower budget, on a slightly lower budget, with the kind of direct to home video almost aesthetic of the Carl Urban movie, and put Dolph Lundgren as Judge Dredd. Dolph Lundgren from maybe 20, 30 years ago, like 90s.
Right.
Like Red
90s.
Scorpion,
A
Universal
little older than
Soldier,
that. He
Universal
got kind of-
Soldier.
I think he got like when he started directing his own movies almost even
Like Man of War type stuff. Like
Man
whenever
of
he got up
War,
into
the Russian mechanic.
Pentathlon.
Which
that.
one?
We were talking not
Pentathlon.
long ago that
That's like
What
his
the hell?
first movie, bro. Or something like that.
No, I like the one. He directed. It was one of the first ones he directed. What the hell was it called?
Silent Trigger, did he direct
Missionary
that one?
Man?
Because Silent Trigger's
Missionary Man.
dude,
Yeah,
that's
Missionary Man. Like those little ones in the middle where he directed them. It's like he knew exactly how much budget he had. What it
Yeah,
would
yeah,
cost to
yeah.
kill the maximum number of people. How many
Yep.
deaths he needed every 20 minutes. He just knew the formula, and
Some
If you
guys.
want-
It's very
if you-
intelligent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you
It's got a
wanted
very high IQ.
the
Yeah.
perfect Judge Dredd movie done in the early 90s, I
Mhm.
talked about this before on one of the shows. Paul Verhoeven should have directed it.
Because
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
knew how to do satire
yeah, RoboCop,
beautifully. RoboCop,
Mm.
Starship Troopers, all that stuff. But
Total Recall.
he also
Basic Instinct.
understood the level of violence to put into a movie.
Yes.
Mhm.
I was watching one of the things about Total Recall because he did that one as well. He goes, the problem I have with the MPAA is they rate my movies X, so I have to cut them. But
Mhm.
because I have to cut them, they're actually making my movies more violent. So instead
Yeah.
of Kenny getting shot up almost comically by Ed 209 and you're laughing by the end of it,
Yeah.
they go,
Mhm.
it's way too violent. Cut it by 3 seconds. Now it's so fast, so visceral, and uber violent. You've now
Mhm.
made my movie way more violent.
Yeah.
And he's like,
I'm
"That's
sure it's
the-
just a glitch.
yeah, yeah,
Temporary
exactly."
step back. The temporary. You call this a glitch? Your temporary step back could cost us $50 million in
interest payments alone.
Kenny
Yeah.
never deserved that. Spare parts for years.
Yeah, yeah.
Who cares what the damn
Who
thing
cares whether it
was?
worked or not? The old man thought it was pretty important, Dick. Have we seen RoboCop? I'm wondering if we've seen that movie.
I work for Dick Jones.
Yeah.
Dick Jones.
He's a number
Oh,
2
yeah,
guy at OCP. OCP
So
runs
the
cops.
dude,
You're a
dude-
cop.
when I saw Martin Cove at that L. Ron Hubbard thing, there was another guy there doing the voices for the reading, and I was like, I know this guy. I've seen this guy in a movie I like. I know I've seen him a million times. Who is this guy? So finally, I asked him. And he kind of like gave me this bored look. He goes, I was in RoboCop, and I'm like, oh, you're the guy that was like, blow this cocksucker's head off guy. And he's like, yes.
Guns, guns, guns.
Yeah, he was the guy that he said guns, guns, guns to. And then he goes, blow this cocksucker's head off. Sorry, you're demonetized now.
That's
James.
it. Oh yeah, really? No, that's
Just kidding.
You started it.
Thank you
Number
for the
one
denial.
movie of last year. I don't
It's
care
The
what anyone says.
Substance,
I fucking love The Substance, man.
I literally the last 20 minutes of Clay, the Clayface part, I could not stop laughing the whole entire way. I was like, this is great. And it's like, there's more blood than Terrifier. So F these people. It's so there is so much gore. It's like literally flooding everybody. I was like, this is awesome.
Can I mention something?
Yeah, go ahead. Have you seen The Substance?
Don Troy has a nice ass than Diana Francis.
That's good. No, but I mean, like The Substance was great. For me, Diener '89 was my favorite movie. But you guys haven't watched. Diener. You got to watch Diener '89.
I need to.
If you're in
the
Canada,
library yet for me.
I'll put it on because I have it. If you're my age and Canadian, this is exactly life. It's like he's at the shop class and they're just dicking around in shop class and no one's doing anything. I'm like, yep, this was shop class.
I was American too. We didn't do shit in shop class either.
Yeah, like I mean, it's just the way that like they're filming it and the guy's like on his bike and he just like walks off of his bike and lets the bike continue rolling until it falls and you're like, yep, that's a thing.
That's how you dismounted, man.
That's how you dismounted. It's all that stuff. It's a great movie. It's part of the FUBAR kind of world. It's the FUBAR world, which I've used like all their clips on here. Anyways, but no, Substance was in my top. It was in my top 5 probably of.
It was my top 4. I didn't watch a lot of the new horror, but it was way up there.
I liked Oddity as well.
I've heard I need to watch that one. I haven't seen Oddity yet. I just watched Romulus last night. So
I liked Alien Romulus.
I enjoyed it. I don't care what the haters said. I enjoyed it.
There's the haters were weird on that. That was one of my weird movies where everyone's like, "Oh, this sucks." Like, well, they're like, they named all these things. I'm like, okay, so have you seen the last like 5 Alien movies? Because they're all like that. Like, there's Alien masterpiece, there's Aliens masterpiece, and then there's other Alien movies. So. I don't see like how is this one
I love Resurrection, so this one was right up my alley. I'm like, I already like one of the ones that's the most hated. I actually like 3 too. I
don't mind any of them, but they're not masterpieces. Like Aliens,
Resurrection has that great moment where Ron Perlman breaks the 4th wall, looks straight at the camera, and says, "Earth, man, what a shithole."
Dude, I love
that made it. That's worth seeing the film for.
100%.
I saw Resurrection twice in the theater.
Man, it's so good.
Yeah,
it was a good cast of characters in that. Man, it worked.
No, I don't hate any of the Alien movies. I actually see Romulus as one of the better of the like.
I'll agree.
I would say it's like top 4.
The lesser ones.
I would say it's like the first. Well, 1 and 2, and then that's it. But no. I like Prometheus. I like Prometheus. And I liked Romulus. I thought those are, and then probably Resurrection would be right there.
Visually, I even think Romulus was better than Prometheus and Covenant because they went back to using like practical effects and things like that. That whole like on the planet they are, because I know it's not.
Yeah,
Earth,
that was wicked.
That mining planet with all those vehicles.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and this is how the movie starts. And I'm just like jaw dropped, going.
Yeah, I saw.
So everyone bitching about.
I saw Alien Romulus on my own in the theater, and I'm sitting here thinking this was pretty damn cool. Look, the get away from her, you bitch. That is an
very much on your own there.
Everyone, yeah, no, that line was absolutely horrific and stupid, terrible. And it should not have been in the movie. And it's absolute fail that they put it in. Alvarez or whatever should have known better. That's a disgusting throwback to a classic film. You should not have put that in there. That's the only time in the movie where I thought that was cringe and bad. but there's like an hour and 50 minutes of awesome stuff after. Like, I mean, one line can't destroy the whole movie. Like,
No.
I mean, that creature at the end, that Slender Man monster, that was weird.
I was
She
okay
gave-
with it. And that was a dude in a suit. That was
Yeah, that was a guy in a suit. I know.
CGI. But
She
I
gave
liked
birth
it was
to
a
that thing.
blend. Oh God, it was great.
That was awesome. Okay, the last 10 minutes of Alien Romulus, I was uncontrollably laughing the entire way in the theater. I was like, this is awesome. It's like she's giving birth to that weird ass thing. It's like, ooh. I'm
She
like,
picks it up
this
and
is
is
weird.
running with it. It's like, ew, ew, ew. And then fucking drops it and throws it.
Oh, buddy, we got an Avon. I'm wearing my Avon sweater. I got my Avon on my phone, and I'm going to give you the Avon clap. Boo.
Nice.
Now that you
All
mentioned RoboCop, I'm gonna watch RoboCop after this.
So time well
Robo-
spent, man. I can watch RoboCop
Yeah.
anytime.
I mean, I've seen RoboCop 4. Well, we're doing the dialogue. I like RoboCop 2 as well. I think we're going to be doing that. I think we're going to be doing that on Action Elite. I'm not sure. So, okay, we're going to get going in a minute. The thing is, like, Owen is doing stuff on the Action site, and I'm doing stuff on my thing. So we're trying to not overlap if possible. There's some movies, like, obviously, if it's like an action movie, that's a clear action movie. Where Charlie and I are guests on Owen's stream for that.
Yeah.
Then there's some overlap movies like RoboCop where it's a nerdy comic booky kind of thing, so I can do it, but it's also an action movie, so we're not sure. I'm trying to see I'll figure something out, and then we'll talk and see.
You
But
for like
the next thing is going to be on Owen's channel, and that's going to be Marked for Death.
Yeah, that's Wednesday.
That's going to be on Wednesday, and then we'll figure something out. So
I saw all those early Seagal movies back in the day.
those are the good ones. Seagal.
I saw all of them up in. I think the last one. There was one where he was like a border patrol guy or something like that. It was like a direct to video one. It was like after.
I don't know the direct to video. Like the last theater like ones were like The Fire Down Below and On Deadly
Yeah,
Ground.
on Deadly
Yeah.
Ground.
Like some
There's
of the
I'm gonna say
like
more.
Exit Wounds and stuff like that.
Yeah, Exit Wounds.
got
That
into the
was
rappers.
okay.
That one was decent, but it was
Yeah,
a
it was
lot
decent.
of cast carrying
Yeah,
Seagal in those.
That was the first of the teaming him up with a rapper era.
Yeah, exactly. There, can we put 50 Cent in it? Can we put whoever else is
Yeah.
popular right now into it?
I got a movie suggestion. Have you watched Errol Flynn's The Adventures of Robin Hood?
Sure, I've seen it 100 million times. I have it on
Yeah.
DVD.
That's a classic.
It's awesome.
Grew up watching that. I think it was on every cable.
Yeah, we watched that 100
If
times.
Special wasn't on Errol Flynn's.
Errol
Robin
Flynn
Hood
was
was
Yeah. All right, guys, I gotta go. Yeah, I gotta go. Thanks to everybody on here. I appreciate you guys. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for Legion live stream. That's it.
Good
See you
night,
guys.
everyone.
Good night.
Hey friends, you've just been listening to J-Man, and he is the smartest person who ever lived. So make sure you like and subscribe.